zone as of right now. I'll just have to tell you that. I woke up this morning. There was not a drop of snow anywhere. I was told it was going to start 11 o'clock, midnight. By 5 a.m. right now, there are some flurries out there that I experienced. But if you are getting out of bed and you're listening to 97.1 this morning, first of all, thank you. If you've tuned into the stream and you're watching us, thank you. You're going to have no problem, I don't believe, with your morning commute. As of right now, they're claiming it's still going to be snowing at 9 a.m. So if the snow comes down in certain areas, I know down south in Farmington and those areas, it's expected to be a little heavier. I can only relate my experience. Kim, was yours any different coming in?
No. I mean, my husband had his car outside in our driveway, so I noticed a little bit of snow on top of it. Not much. Roads were not bad. I did see two plows on I-64 near downtown. They had those flashing lights on, so I was practically blinded. They were going about 30 miles per hour, so there were semi-trucks and probably a few other cars like mine, and we're all just thinking, come on, your plow's not even down on the road and you're going 30 miles an hour right now on I-64.
And what did you see to your right when you looked?
I saw you cruising on one of it looks like you got off at an earlier exit and you were smarter about it than I was because I didn't see the plows in time. And all of a sudden I see you, I say flying, Mark, you weren't flying, but you were flying in comparison to the speed I was going. And you beat those plows.
Thank you.
You deserve an award for that. That was genius.
I got stuck behind them the morning of the first snowfall on Monday, and it took me an extra 15 or 20 minutes to get downtown. I was almost late for my own show. So this time I saw him from a distance. I'm like, if I get off here just past Jefferson there on 22nd, and I go down that flyover ramp, you could turn and go to the soccer stadium, but if you just go straight, it continues back onto the interstate right at the 14th Street exit. And it was beautiful. It worked out beautifully. I got ahead of the snowplows, and I was able to get off at 14th without even slowing down hardly. Not that I was going too fast. It was one of those beautiful timing things that worked out beautifully.
Well, no, I did see you get airborne at one point.
Say that.
I do think you should probably say that is probably not advisable in the daylight.
We advise that
Thank you, Carl.
You haul ass and go as fast as you possibly can.
Would like to mention,
if you get airborne, it's fine.
Here's the other thing we noticed. The plows weren't doing anything.
They could have been spraying.
They could have been.
I saw nothing.
Salt, but she was behind them and saw nothing.
That would have come out from the back of the plow, and I could be wrong, but I saw nothing going down on the roads.
So yesterday I noticed Alexis Zotos over at Channel 4 finally put out a post similar to mine because I'm not going to claim that she put it out because of my post 2 days ago that got 109,000 views on Facebook. I'm just pointing that out. She texted yesterday, it's like the turn lanes still haven't been touched since Monday. The on-ramp from Olive to Lindbergh is snow-covered and dangerous. When will MoDOT finish the roads? This is Alexis Zotos, the investigative reporter from Channel 4, who put this out yesterday. 2 days ago, I put out that video at 141 and 64. The off-ramp was a mess. And then somebody pointed out to me, that intersection is directly below the MoDOT headquarters. Like they could look out their windows from the emergency center, op center there, and see how bad that intersection was. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until yesterday on my way home that I saw MoDOT snowplows working on Outer 40 and some of those roads. Now, they didn't clean them completely because when I went by this morning, I could still see snowpack and snow cover on those roads. I don't know. I got some sound this morning from some of the county people yesterday who were claiming it's not our fault. It was a historic snowfall. I don't know. I know people that lived through the blizzard here years ago. This was not historic. It's the most snow we've had in a while. But again, you've got one job. One job. Your job is to clean the roads. And we're a week out, and there are still roads that I wouldn't let my 17-year-old daughter drive on. That's why so many schools are still closed. Like Ethan was telling me this morning, they called off his schools again.
Wow.
Is it on the forecast of snow, or is it because of what's still left from last week? I don't know.
Probably both. I mean, even some of the streets here in downtown St. Louis, and I know not a ton of people are driving downtown, but they don't even look like they've been touched.
Well, in some cases they haven't. Asked Carl.
Yep.
I hate to keep going back to that, but in some cases they haven't been touched, and they haven't been. That's something they haven't been doing in years. But the primary roads should be clean by now, and in some cases they're still not. And somebody got mad at me for suggesting it's DEI. Wait till you hear what they've done with DEI in L.A. The definition of DEI is didn't earn it. In other words, you've got people in jobs that are either protected because they're union jobs or they got promoted because nobody else wanted the job, and it's not the best person for the job, but that's what you're stuck with. Then an emergency hits, and everybody's scratching their head as to why things went to hell in a handbasket. This isn't a surprise. None of it's a surprise. We shouldn't be surprised. I know people that have worked in and around MoDOT and the street crews, and they're like, their opinion is it's not as good as it used to be because they're underpaid. The best people either retired or they moved on to a department where they can make more money. Now, it doesn't mean there aren't some people out there working hard this morning, and we appreciate you, but you got to admit somebody dropped the ball here. That usually goes to the top of the pile, and that in leadership, and that's not happening in this case. All they're doing is making excuses. So we'll talk more about that for you coming up in just a minute. Carl, let's get to our top stories, please.
The Marc Cox Short List.
Madam Vice President, I know you're directly affected, so you fire away. No pun intended.
Indeed.
It's just embarrassing. Even Kamala Harris, the most famous DEI hire currently in a position of authority in the United States, was stunned that Joe Biden made a fire joke at that news conference yesterday.
There's water coming out there. You can use it.
I appreciate it. I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now. People
I'd
are
like
safe.
to make sure you do. Can I have an opportunity to at least tell people you're doing what you're saying you're doing?
Wow. That video right there is going to haunt Gavin Newsom for the rest of his political career. A citizen comes up to him, begs answers as to why there is no water in the lines to save her house. And he tells her he'll get back to her. He's trying to get a hold of President Biden on the phone, and he shows her his cell phone. Unbelievable.
This is my longest ever interview of a president.
Yeah, well, the longest ever before this was one question, and they would rush you out of the room, right?
Yeah, that was President Trump yesterday acknowledging that once again the world is about to shift when it comes to access to your president. Like he doesn't hide from anybody, and they've been hiding Biden for 4 years.
1 inch of sleet is like working 4 inches of snow.
They believe this next snow will be lighter and easier to scrape. They're already preparing to treat major roadways again.
Yeah, there it was, ladies and gentlemen. That was the excuse given yesterday for why your roads are still crap in many areas. That was it.
So it's the sleet that was causing the biggest issues.
1 inch of sleet is like 5 inches of snow, and that just took us longer. No. Put me in charge for a day. I've never driven a snowplow in my life, and I will guarantee you I could have done a better job than MoDOT did in St. Louis County within 48 hours of that snowstorm. Here's the simple thing. Put the trucks on the highway, have them go from the river to the river, all the way into the city, and then turn around and get back on the highway and go back, and then turn around and get back on the highway and go back, and do that until the roads are clean. I don't care if you have to work overtime. This is your job. You have one job. And it didn't get done. And then it was like, in the meantime, I don't know if they had, crew shortages. They just ignored the off-ramps. So then if you didn't manage to get on the highway, good luck getting back off if you're in a car that doesn't have four-wheel drive.
It's funny, too, because MoDOT was laying out its its plow priorities, and it talked about obviously the main interstates, the heavily traveled highways are number one, then the less traveled highways and roads, number two, which they still really haven't hit. And then they say, and after the storm is over, which basically would have been from Monday until today, this latest round, they're supposed to start cleaning up any snow that accumulated on the shoulder. Does anybody feel like they've done that? Because again, as I'm driving on 64, I'm having to get over lanes because some of the actual lanes of the interstate, not just a shoulder, all of a sudden are snow covered in ice, and I have to shift over very quickly. And when it's pitch black, that can be dangerous.
Yeah.
So thank goodness we go to work at weird hours and there's not a lot of cars, so it's not usually a problem for me to get over abruptly. That should not be the case 4 days after the storm stopped.
So for those of you with sedans, like the little 4-door cars that sit low to the ground, if you have any questions about what happens when you hit one of those snow walls at a moderate speed, ask Carl Middleman. Carl, what happened to your car?
It started making a noise.
A weird noise, like a kind of noise. We don't know what it is.
And it went away yesterday. My guy.
I thought you thought it was the transmission. I thought maybe it had damaged the
muffler exhaust.
Exhaust manifold where it comes out before you get to the muffler.
My guy, who's a girl, she said you probably scratched a piece of ice, scratched something and knocked something loose that probably just needs to be welded. And I don't know what happened.
Wow.
But yesterday, after I was coming home from the hockey game, it wasn't making that noise anymore.
Send MoDOT the bill if you start hearing the noise again.
Yeah, well.
They are warning people about snow missiles. They're saying, and I actually watched this happen on 270 yesterday. It was kind of scary.
I saw it Tuesday.
Because people are lazy and I get it, they don't want to clear off the snow and ice from the roof of their car. And so you're driving 60 miles an hour down the interstate and boom, that snow and ice flies off like a dang knife. It is coming through people's windshields. Like it's shattered multiple people's windshields across the St. Louis area.
I saw Channel 4's interview with some lady yesterday whose Jeep window got broken.
That'd be so scary.
All right, let's get to the fray on this Friday morning. We'll be right back.
Sure.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Good morning to you. Boy, that forecast was accurate. It is snowing this morning again. So, of course, we're going to have slick roads just a little bit at this hour, but it's going to continue. Right now, there is an accident. Westbound 70, and this one is really near Salisbury. It's on the right side. They've had the right lane blocked. There was a stall reported eastbound 44 approaching Highway 50 in the Union area this morning. And I just heard on the scanners a police officer calling in somebody struggling to get up that hill there, 44 eastbound at Antire. So I'm looking at the cameras through there. I can't quite see it. So just bear that in mind. That's what we're going to be facing this morning. Now, a lot of snow has fallen on 44. So that is a little bit slower than usual this morning. And same thing with 55, south of 270. And I just had a report of somebody calling in an accident near 270 at 55. So I'll have more on that. I've been looking around for that one as well. So that's what we're facing this morning. Also, 364 is snow covered, more than usual, or more than 70 or 6440. Same thing with 370, just probably because they're not traveled as much. And if you are headed in from Illinois, it's pretty quiet on the bridges, but a little bit slower headed for the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge than the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan of McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyHomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Let's talk about what's coming up with your retirement, folks. If it's this year, if it's 2025, it's time to get off your can and get busy planning it. What do you do when you're not getting a paycheck each month? Well, you have to it's a good idea to have that figured out before you turn in your paperwork. How about that? Join me and Annie Fry and Mark Reardon and Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw coming up on the 30th of this month. You got plenty of warning here. We're still 20 days out, so you can secure a position for yourself and a friend or a spouse. Come and sit down. It's free. And you spend some time with us. We always get there early and just kind of hobnob with people ahead of time and talk about current events. And it's going to be right around just after the inauguration. I'll have just gotten back from Washington, D.C. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then Thomas and Bob will take over, spend about 45 minutes with you explaining what they do. At the end of it, if you don't want to work with them, no hard feelings. If you do, you put your name on a piece of paper and turn it in with your phone number, and they'll call you. It's the retirement educational event, and you should be there. January 30th, Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Reserve your spot at 993-9494. That's 314-993-9494 or retirementkey.com.
The Annie Fry Show.
High fives all around, but the real work actually has to start now. And the truth of the matter is that, as much as I hate to say this, we need to grow a Republican majority in the House.
The Annie Fry Show. Weekdays from noon to 3.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
A strong mind and a legislative body. The Mark Cox Morning Show.
What were you talking to Barack Obama about?
It did look very friendly, I must say. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it, how friendly it looked. I saw it on your wonderful network just a little while ago before I came in, and I said, boy, they look like two people that like each other. And we probably do. We have little different philosophies, right? But we probably do. I don't know, we just got along. But I got along with just about everybody on that. We met backstage, as you know, before we went on. And I thought it was a beautiful service, but we all got along very well, which is good.
So I didn't get to watch that news conference where Peter Doocy was asking him about the Carter funeral. I watched bits and pieces of the Carter funeral. It started just as the show ended, and we were kind of doing play-by-play on the presidents as they came in and sat down, which somebody pointed out to me they were seated in the order they served, which is how that worked. And had it worked out that Michelle Obama could have ended her extended vacation in Hawaii, she would have been sitting right next to Donald Trump, but something came up. She had a thing, and she couldn't make it. So Barack ended up sitting right next to Donald Trump. In every other case, the wife was a buffer between the presidents, right? And I don't know, for better or for worse, not that George W. Bush minded, because he got to sit next to his buddy Hillary Clinton. But in this case, Barack Obama's seated right next to Trump, and Trump's talking to him, and Barack Obama's laughing. And at some point, Kamala Harris looks over her shoulder with daggers at Barack Obama because she can't believe he's cutting it up with Donald Trump. So there was some high drama there, but I want to know if they really all greeted each other behind the scenes before they were brought out. What was that conversation like? That's what I want to know.
I don't believe that they were all greeting each other. I was reading some story rather about some person who's an expert at body language, and they were calling Kamala Harris the ice princess. The way she looked at Trump, the fact that she wouldn't even make eye contact with Jill Biden. Well, really, I should say Jill Biden wouldn't make eye contact with Kamala Harris.
That's it.
I think there's more animosity that direction.
That was my observation. The Bidens. Jill Biden escorted Joe Biden in because he didn't know where he was going. She held onto his hand. She took him to the seat. She was to sit to from his left shoulder between him and Kamala, which sat her right next to Kamala. They walked in there. She and Kamala didn't even make eye contact. Kamala reached down and took the papers off of her seat, which was the program, and handed it to her. And then she plopped down and looked straight ahead or at her husband. She made no eye contact with Kamala Harris. It was icy.
It's called awkward.
Awk. It says how my kids would say it at some point. It was awk. Wow. There were some nice moments from that funeral yesterday, though. Some nice comments from the grandson, and we'll play a little bit of that for you coming up just a little bit later. Up next, we'll get to Kim on a Whim. Stay tuned. All right, let's talk about Grass or Electric for just a minute. Boy, what a relief it would be to know that if a serious snowstorm came along like the one we had last weekend and it knocked the power out in your neighborhood. Remember that time a few years ago we got a bad ice storm? Might have been 10 years ago, and people were out of power for days. Imagine having a backup generator there that would take care of that. They can do that at Grass or Electric. They do it all the time. They can modify your electrical panel to use your current generator that would sit outside while it ran, but it'd still power the key things. Call them up and talk to them about that. 636-441-5200. They'll always come out and give you a free estimate on the work because you know you're going to shop around if you're smart. I think you will love working with Grass or Electric. 636-441-5200. That's also their emergency number, so put it in your phone. You can also go online to schedule your next appointment. Tell them Marc Cox sent you. It's grassorelectric.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Another shot of winter to greet us for this Friday. We've got snow around all morning long. It's cloudy afternoon, 32. By the time it's done about midday, 1 to 2 inches, but this is enough to cause some road problems, especially with cold ground temperatures. Tonight, cloudy skies, some wandering snow flurries. It's a cold night, 20 degrees. Saturday, mostly sunny, 32. Sunday, partly sunny, 36. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
We get a key part of the jobs picture this morning. The December employment report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is investors mull over information from payroll processor ADP, which showed private sector job creation eased more than expected in December, while wages grew at the slowest pace in nearly 3.5 years. The Labor Department's also said that initial claims for first-time jobless help totaled 201,000 for last week, well below the 215,000 estimate. It said companies added a seasonally adjusted 122,000 jobs for the month. down from 146,000 in November. And Google and Microsoft are the latest tech giants, donating $1 million each to President-elect Trump's inaugural committee. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you.
One of our new sponsors, Rapid Radios, makes the coolest walkie-talkies, and they're a must-have this year. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk devices with nationwide coverage, 100% private, and a great communication device for kids. See them at rapidradios.com.
For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get up to 60% off free UPS shipping from Michigan, plus a free protection bag. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off.
Well, we're in the midst of another round of snow, so do take it easy on your commute this morning. A couple of issues already. There's an accident I'm looking at, northbound 270 or 255, right there at 55, and they've got the left lane blocked. Flashing lights there on the scene. There was also an accident earlier westbound 70 near Salisbury on the right side. A stall eastbound 44 approaching Highway 50 in the Union area, that on the right side. And 44 at Antire, there was an issue. Now, I do see what could be a disabled truck on the actual ramp to Antire, so I'm not sure whether that's it, whether it's something else. But just be careful in that area. Now, this next layer of snow is not going to be great anywhere, but especially on those side streets that we still have some ice and snow pack. So you really want to take it easy out of your own driveway / neighborhood this morning if it hasn't been plowed. And we do have traffic moving slower than usual in this weather, which is actually good news. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
97.1 FM Talk presents Talk in Action, where we shine a spotlight on local charities making a difference in our community. Join us as we give back and connect neighbors in need. Visit 971talk.com/talkinaction to learn more.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Your political sixth sense. This is the Marc Cox Morning Show.
President Joe Biden recently signed a new law creating more transparency around college campus hazing. 3 years ago this fall, Danny Santulli's parents say their son was forced to drink an entire bottle of vodka before falling into a coma. It's left Danny with life-changing impacts.
Joe Biden did something I agree with, Mark.
And what's that?
And that was he signed into law the Stop Campus Hazing Act. Christmas Eve actually is when he signed it into law. This legislation, it was co-led by Minnesota Governor Amy Klobuchar. And this comes after the guy who you just heard in that story, Danny Santoli, was he has permanent issues. This is a guy who was at Mizzou in 2021. He was pledging it was the Phi Gamma Delta, which I'll be honest, I'm not super familiar with that fraternity, even
Fiji.
Is it Fiji? Okay, I've heard of Fiji. I guess you just don't hear it like that. But I was not in a sorority. So anyway, he was pledging, and they told him to drink a whole bottle of liquor, and he was drinking beer. And anyway, it sounds like the guys in the fraternity threw him on the couch, and he was found not breathing. They take him to the emergency room. He's in cardiac arrest. So at that point, it was kind of too late, and he suffered severe brain damage. He can't walk. He can't talk. He just sits there. It's really sad. You look at the before picture of this guy, and then you look at the after, and it's unrecognizable. So what this law does is it requires universities to include hazing incidents in their annual safety report. So that information would then be accessible to parents.
After the fact, it's not doing you any good, though. You see my point? Here's the thing, and I might piss some people off when I say this, but I was in a fraternity. I was hazed. I joined the fraternity of my own free will. And fortunately for me, although it definitely involved a certain amount of alcohol, I wasn't forced to drink anything except some disgusting thing the night I finally was accepted into the fraternity along with the paddle that I'm still not sure what was in that mixture they gave me. But at some point you're not, other than shutting down the Greek system, you're not going to be able to pass a law that says you're not allowed to do this. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. The liability factor is what they need to stress. They need to go into every one of these fraternities and sororities and tell them, yes, you can do hazing, which, like, for example, here's some stuff my son related to me when he was at Mizzou. What was hazing? Well, you had to carry a lighter with you. So if you saw somebody who was an upperclassman in your fraternity anywhere on campus, and they needed you to light a cigarette, you had to have a lighter on you. Like if they saw you, you had to have certain things with you. In one fraternity I know of, they required all the pledges to carry a brick around, like a full-size brick with. Well, I know it is.
I
but
can get on board with that type of hazing. Absolutely.
My point is that's been going on since Animal House. That stuff has always happened, and it's going to continue to happen because it's a fraternity. Whether it's a fraternity or sorority, and the sororities don't do quite that stuff, but you're being accepted into a group, and the feeling is you need to pay the same kind of price they paid when they got in. So there's going to be hazing. The question is, do you allow it to go too far? And if you get the wrong group of guys, idiots in leadership, that's when things get out of hand.
But this law doesn't stop hazing from happening. What it does is any sort of an incident that escalates to the point where authorities are involved, that has to then be reported.
Okay,
so that wouldn't be like something silly where, for example, you're carrying a brick around. That would be where you're forcing a pledge to drink an obscene amount of alcohol, and then they have issues because of it. Like not even to this extent, but to the point where you're going to the hospital and getting your stomach pumped.
But that's after the fact, right?
But they'd still have to then report it. So then anyone who has kids pledging at that fraternity in future years would be able to access that information.
So here's a simpler fix. This is the simple fix. Like the housing board and the people in charge of these fraternities need to set these guys down once a year and say, here's the deal. You're not allowed to force anybody to do anything that's dangerous, period. And if you do, you're not only going to face whatever legal charges their family files against you, you're kicked out of this fraternity forever.
Yeah.
And the university needs to say, and you're banned from this campus forever, and you're not going to be able to fulfill your dreams that you came to college to achieve. So don't do anything stupid. And that would have knocked off 100% of this. Here's the other problem. I know people in Fiji. I know kids that were in Fiji around the time this happened. if there was a fraternity on that campus that came anywhere close to what we fantasize about with Animal House years ago. I don't know if you probably never even seen the movie, but I mean, toga, party all the time. Everybody had bad grades, all that stuff. That's not even necessarily the fact. A lot of these kids were very good students. Their GPA wasn't necessarily suffering because of it, but it was kind of the place where you knew if some crazy crap was going to go down, it was going to be at the Fiji House. Somebody there had to know that. So somebody in charge of that fraternity had to know they were on pretty dangerous ground with some of the crap they were allowing to happen there, and no adults stepped in to control the situation. They don't need a law like this, is my argument, because whatever they're reporting is after the fact. You need to scare the hell out of these kids in advance and tell them.
Why can't you have both and? Why
Well,
can't
you can, but I just don't know that
scare
it's
the
doing any
crap out of
good.
them? But then also, there will be some that could fall through the cracks. I think parents should know, and people pledging these fraternities should be able to access that information to know if I'm wanting to be in this fraternity, this is the kind of crap that they've done in the past. Listen to what the mom of this boy, Danny Santoli, listen to what she said about any guy who wants to pledge a fraternity. Listen to this other.
If any kids are feeling like they're uncomfortable in any situation, they just need to have strength just to say no.
Okay. In an ideal world, yeah.
Who is that?
That was
Who
the
was
mom
that?
of the kid, Danny Santoli, who was told to drink all this alcohol and now has brain damage and all the things. Again, this happened in 2021. So that's the mom of this kid, this guy talking, saying that you should be strong enough to say no. Okay, yeah, obviously that's the goal, is to be able to be strong enough to say no.
The peer pressure is incredible.
Thank you.
in those
If I were up against 100 or so, I don't know how many people are in a fraternity. Let's just say 50 to 100 people, depending on the size of the frat. If you have all those upperclassmen who are telling you to do this and you want to be part of this group, part of this fraternity, how many guys would actually sit there, not just guys, girls too, would sit there and say, you know what, guys, I'm not comfortable doing this. I think I'm going to opt out this time. No, they would not do that. That would be so incredibly difficult. So I understand where she's going with that, but that's just not realistic. It's not going to happen in 9 out of 10 cases.
It's not going to repair the damage that was done to her child. Several lives have been ruined as a result of this, right?
Well,
Several kids have been
people
sentenced to jail,
yes,
and
they were facing criminal charges,
and
rightfully so,
and fined and ruined financially, kicked out of school.
Yep.
That case should be explained to every fraternity every year at the beginning of Rush. This is what happens if you go too far. Don't let this be you. They need to do this like they do with the MAD presentations at the schools, where they drag the mangled car into the front of the school and they bring the kids out and let them look at it and say, this is what can happen to you if you do this.
Drag the kids who faced criminal charges, drag them along to these universities and let them speak to the fraternities. Let them tell the other kids this is how our life was impacted because of this really stupid decision that we made.
I agree with you, but you can't get to all of them.
No,
I mean,
obviously
to
not.
To me, the bill is paying lip service to this, and it doesn't fix the problem.
It doesn't.
I
but
was
it's
in a fraternity.
It's a step in the right direction.
And it is mild compared to what it used to be. Mild. It's nothing like it was in the late 60s, 70s, 80s. These days, they can't hardly get away with anything. They're not, in many cases, they're not supposed to have alcohol in the building. They're not. I mean, they have alcohol-free Rush. They've got all these other things, but there's always somebody out there who's an idiot who carries it too far. So I don't know. I just think the reporting it afterwards is not helping anybody. You've got to be more proactive, short of banning Greek life, and make these people in leadership at these fraternities realize on day one that you decisions you make can end somebody's life.
I don't think it's going to stop it, but I still would argue that it's a step in the right direction because, again, that information's then accessible to people.
It's the reason I hate to say this, but it's frontal lobes are not fully developed at that point in a lot of people, specifically young males, and they do stupid things. It's why you can't let kids make gender decisions when they're 14 and 15 years old. They don't have any idea what the hell they're going to do with their lives at that point. So you've just got to take them by the shoulders and shake them and tell them, you could end somebody's life with this crap.
You do both.
You're never allowed to force anybody into a dangerous situation.
You do that too. That absolutely has to be part of it. That should be the number one thing they do. But anything else we can do to make it, to raise awareness about the crap that is going on, I think is a good thing.
My phone is ringing right now. If anybody can see this on social media, it's my kid's school calling off. I'm pretty sure right now.
You
Like
should
if I
answer it.
recognize
Put it
that
on
number.
speakerphone.
If I recognize that number, let me see here.
Let's bring in the professionals to see what they think. Hi, this is Fox 2 Chief Meteorologist Glenn.
See, they're playing.
Studying all the weather models and looking into the future, and the forecast for Westminster, well, to quote Charles Dickens, it was the best of times. It was the worst.
So
that's the way they call off school. Is that what they're doing?
They quote the local meteorologist something funny each time, and it sounds to me like they're calling school off. So
remember when we had to watch the ticker at the bottom of the TV screen
it
in
was
the
awful.
morning before school?
Oh, Kim, you have no idea.
And just hope that your school would pop up, and then you'd miss it because wouldn't they do it alphabetical? And I would miss Parkway West, and I'd have to wait until it came around again. How times have changed.
Carl and I had to get up and turn the radio on.
Or your parents did.
Or your parents did, and you had to listen to, I don't know, KMOX or, from my case in Cincinnati, WEBN, and they would read the school closing list alphabetically, and sometimes it's 200 schools long.
Right.
So you had to wait for them to finally get to that part of the alphabet where your
I
school
know
was.
you
and
had
see
to,
if you got off or
take
not.
your covered wagon to school, so they had plenty of time for you to prepare, right?
All right, that's enough. I've taken enough abuse. Go to break. We'll be back in a minute.
Good morning. Well, of course, snow falling isn't the greatest news in my department, so if you are headed out, just take it easy. I've been posting on X at Susan6768 road conditions throughout the area. And yep, we've got snow coming down, and it's just one of those mornings. If you go slowly, you should be fine. But there is an accident northbound 270 at 55. That has been blocking the left lane. So if you're traveling in that area, a little bit of a slow go. Be careful 44 at Antire on Antire Hill. We are moving slowly this morning on the roads, especially it looks like 44 west of Eureka, 55 all the way from down south up to 270. And it looks like out west, 64, a little slower than usual, and 70. And it's all because of the weather. Same thing on 364. So just take it easy this morning. We do have light traffic at this hour. And if you are headed in from Illinois, things look fine on the Illinois side. But there is a little bit slower go than usual, both directions on the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
You've got thoughts. Did you know you also have a microphone? Listen to 97.1 on the Odyssey app and click the microphone to leave a voice message. Whatever's on your mind, let us know by clicking the microphone in the Odyssey app.
Question: are you a maintain it before it breaks person or a wait for a problem person? Get ahead of the game or just see what happens type? Well, if you're the practical, forward-thinking sort, then get this. For a limited time, the rock-solid fix-it-right guys at Jerry Kelly will come tune up and inspect your furnace for just $98. It's normally $143, and that's very little money for a lot of peace of mind. Check it out now at
JerryKelly.com.
Blueberry breakfast cookies, maple brown sugar oatmeal, and honey toasted oats, 2 for $5. And save 10% or more on Simple Truth for a healthier new year. Low prices made simple. RulerFoods.com.
Deeper than the headlines. The Marc Cox Morning Show.
Wow. All right, dudes. Sit down if you're not sitting down driving already. Do you know how old this guy is today? Rod Stewart is 80 years old today. He's 80. Wow.
And coming to St. Louis next
and
summer.
still on tour. So still packing that money away in the bank for the kids.
I'm more surprised Dave Matthews is
58.
57 or 58 more than Rod Stewart. I expected
So-
Rod Stewart to be close to 80.
So we've been listening to Sue, and an hour ago when we went on the air here at 5, I said to you, the snow is a nothing burger so far, but the snow has picked up. So as we look out the windows here downtown, you can definitely see it falling much heavier than it was as we were driving in here in the 4 o'clock hour. So I imagine in the next couple of hours, this is going to cause bigger and bigger problems for Sue Thomas. So be sure and stay tuned for that because it's here's the deal. I saw somebody put this on a meme. I'm not going to take credit for it, but you need to leave your car parked. Those of you that can't drive when it's sunny should not be driving when there's a snowflake coming down. Let's just put it that way.
Now that means a lot of people then shouldn't be on the roads today.
I know. I'm just saying. A lot of folks are driving and probably shouldn't be, but I mean the roads are going to have a little bit of snow on them this morning. It's not ice. It's 28, 29 degrees outside, so it's not like it's 3 degrees. And I think you'll be okay if you just take it easy, take it slow, leave a little bit early, and you'll get there. All right. So I want to get to one of the bites from the Carter ceremony yesterday for his funeral. I saw a couple clips from Joe Biden. He seemed to be taking some digs at Donald Trump, even though he never mentions him by name, talks about integrity and blah, 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 blah up there. And there were a couple of people who worked for him who made some nice comments about Carter and what he achieved in his life, which is what your funeral's supposed to be about. I did think this was an interesting comment by this guy on CNN who pointed out that you had an 82-year-old sitting there, the current president, and you had a 78-year-old who's the incoming president. You had Bill Clinton, who's up there in his 70s, late 70s now too, and Hillary sitting there, and Al Gore and Dan Quayle, and I mean all these people who aren't all that far away from being where Jimmy Carter is, because they're all not going to live to 100. So listen to cut number 10.
Yeah, and as I read in the story that's up on our site, this is a weird situation because Joe Biden is going to today attend a funeral that will look a lot like his own funeral whenever that day comes.
Ouch.
That is weird to think about that.
He did doze off in the middle of it. I don't know if he was practicing or what.
That's to be expected.
Yeah, he did. It was a long ceremony, but Joe Biden was clearly asleep at one point, as was the wife or the person sitting next to Chip Carter, Carter's son there in the front row. They cut away to her one time, and she was in the middle of her head bouncing off her chest and waking up when the camera panned over there, which you felt bad about that for her. Maybe she's got some health condition I don't know about.
I feel like it's the ultimate old man move when you're sitting up straight and you just doze off randomly.
You nod off. I've never done that.
Something tells me you have.
Well, when you're in a covered wagon, the ride is so
I get
bumpy.
it is bumpy.
It's harder to sleep.
I get it. That's
I'm
a
just
long
saying.
journey you used to have to make, Mark.
It's true. Thank you, Kim. Could you turn her mic off? Let's get to Jason Carter here, the grandson, who I thought had probably delivered the best speech of the entire funeral yesterday.
By the way, he cut the deficit, wanted to decriminalize marijuana, deregulated so many industries that he gave us cheap flights and, as you heard, craft beer. Basically, all of those years ago, he was the first millennial. And he could make great playlists, as we've heard as well.
He's the first millennial. He gave us craft beer and wanted to make marijuana available everywhere.
I love the story his grandson said where Jimmy Carter called him, said, "Who is this?
Why are you calling me?"
You called me. I did? No, I was taking a picture.
Everybody's got that experience with an aunt or an uncle or a parent, a grandparent for sure, with these new phones. Oh, boy. All right, coming up, we're going to get to Jessica Rosenthal on the Supreme Court decision on TikTok. We'll be back.
At NeoVitan, our goal is to create safe, dependable multivitamins to support your everyday nutrition when you need it most. That's why we've formulated NeoVitan 50-plus multivitamins with 20 daily ingredients, including B vitamins for energy support, vitamin C for immune support, and Dr. Abicki's 4-ingredient proprietary blend that you won't find in any other multivitamins. NeoVitan 50-plus multivitamins come in 2 specifically designed formulas to help support your nutritional needs. NeoVitan Men's 50-plus multivitamin for men 50 and older, and NeoVitan Women's 50-plus multivitamin for women 50 and older. With a 4.8 out of 5-star rating on Trustpilot, you can be sure you are getting quality nutritional support with NeoVitan. Support your best life today with NeoVitan 50-plus multivitamins. Available at your local Dierbergs, Schnucks, and online with our easy-to-use monthly subscriptions at neovitan.com. That's NeoVitin.com. neovitan.com.
Hi, I'm Uzo Aduba, and right now, medical information is not regularly being shared within the research community, but you can help change that. Patients can help accelerate research by sharing their information and unique experience.
Everyone's experience with cancer matters, including my own.
If you're a cancer patient in the U.S. and its territories or Canada, you may be able to play a part in accelerating cancer research and uncovering new breakthroughs simply by sharing your patient data with researchers around the world.
My unique experience can make the difference of life and death to some of the people in my community.
It is in our stories and data that the answers can be found.
Join Stand Up to Cancer, Count Me In, and thousands of patients like Maeve, Bridget, and Joel in this movement.
For our family.
For our friends.
For us all.
The information is out there. Together we can unlock it. Join in at standuptocancer.org/countmein.
Yeah, military life can have its challenges, but sometimes veteran life brings more. While serving in Iraq, an IED took both my legs, but it didn't take my spirit.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My name is Greg Gadsden, 26-year Army veteran.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
DAV helps veterans like me get all the benefits they've earned, and that can be a life changer.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Today, I'm an entrepreneur, photographer, and public speaker.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won. With the right support, there are no limits.
My victory is just being the best that I can be.
Greg Gadsden, thank you for your service. May your victories inspire many more. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
More grieving and more devastation around Los Angeles. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
This morning, the smell of smoke permeates the hills and the mountains and the surf and the ocean side, as you could hear it. Another day of fighting very active fires here in Los Angeles.
About 10,000 homes and buildings have burned as 5 wildfires still rage.
Confirmed 10 deaths now at this point.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray is among the ruins in Malibu.
All you see is crumbled and sideways tilted steel beams. This is going to have to go, as many of the homes and businesses up and down the PCH, where I am right now, are destroyed.
There are more firefighters trying to douse the flames, but a water tanker aircraft, key to the battle, is grounded, damaged in a collision with a drone Fox's Bill Malugin reports from fire-ravaged Pacific Palisades.
I cannot stress to you how crucial these aircraft are. LA County leases them from Canada every year. There's only 2 of them. They're the aircraft you see dipping into the Pacific Ocean and making these drops. They can drop 6 tons of water at each time. They are a massive help.
A winter storm across the South has canceled more than 2,000 flights today. Many to and from Atlanta, Charlotte, Dallas, and Nashville. Fox Weather's Michael Estimes in Memphis.
A couple of our forecast models saying that we could pick up closer to about 8 inches of snow. That would be a ton for Memphis.
Parts of Texas got nearly a foot of snow. In a few hours, President-elect Trump will appear virtually at his sentencing for falsifying business record convictions. Fox's Eric Shawn reports from outside the court.
He won't be going to jail, but there could be a fine and a tongue lashing by Judge Juan Merchan. That after the Supreme Court gave this sentencing the go-ahead last night. In its decision, the High Court rejected Trump's bid to delay his sentencing.
They called for an appeal, so I read it, and I thought it was a fair decision, actually.
He calls the case a disgrace and witch hunt. America's listening to Fox News.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
For 97.1 FM Talk, I'm Matthew Rocchio. It's 6:03 and 30 degrees. A St. Louis alderwoman plans to propose a measure today that would strip the mayor of some of her power and hire a city manager. Alderwoman Daniela Velasquez says her proposal isn't meant to be a criticism of Tashara Jones, but instead a long-term plan to look at ways to make St. Louis more successful. The measure would acquire approval from 60% of voters in a citywide election, and Alderwoman Velasquez hopes to convince the board to put that vote on the August 2026 ballot. Whatever happens today for the snowfall, St. Louis County officials told residents their plows are fully equipped to answer the call to clear roads and clarified MoDOT's road plowing priorities. All interstates and high-volume highways are continuously plowed. Lower-volume state-numbered or lettered routes are plowed to open two-way traffic, and then following the storm, accumulation will be cleared on the shoulders. MoDOT assured residents in a statement that crews have been working around the clock on 12-hour shifts since Saturday. The bill is coming due for the legal battle between the state and St. Louis County over who held the power to replace Wesley Bell as the St. Louis County prosecutor. Following the decision of the courts in favor of the governor's office on January 3rd, the private attorney's fees for the county's failed fight adds up to just over $19,000 for services through November 30th. County Councilman Dennis Hancock told Fox News that he expects the final bill to be even higher after most of the work on the case was done in December. It's 6:04 and 30 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk. In sports, the Blues boat raced the Ducks last night by a score of 6-2. Game 2 of their 4-game homestand is tomorrow against the Blue Jackets at 6. Notre Dame will play in the College Football National Championship after outlasting Penn State 27-24 on a 41-yard field goal with 7 seconds remaining in the Orange Bowl. They'll play either Texas or Ohio State depending on who wins tonight's Cotton Bowl. Kickoff for the Cotton Bowl is set at 6:30. And it's been over a month since St. Louis City SC hired their second full-time head coach in former Swedish national Olof Mellberg, and the new coach will be introduced officially in front of the media today at a 10 a.m. press conference. It's 6:05 and 30 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, we've got more snow falling, so take it easy on the commute. The roads are okay at this hour, at least the interstates. But with this snow falling, of course, we're going to have slick spots. I'm looking, it looks like we've got flashing lights here at 370, right at 270. It looks like it's on a ramp or at least not on the interstate. So if you are ramping from 370 onto 270, there may be a delay this morning. We've got accidents northbound 270 at 55, that in the left lane. 55 north of 141. There was an accident reported that was supposed to be southbound. 55 near Highway 67. We had a report of a vehicle into the median. And an accident, Old 21 at Highway A, that one involving a MoDOT vehicle. So we are just kind of weather and snow slowed throughout the area, but we're still okay. Now, who can say about the side streets? And if you haven't been plowed, this, of course, is not good news as far as the streets go. But if you are headed in from Illinois, things are okay on the bridges. You have to be careful. But it looks a little bit slower on the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge than the Poplar Street Bridge at this hour. This report is brought to you by New Perspective Senior Living of Weldon Spring. And they've got modern apartments, delicious meals, activities, entertainment, and even a state-of-the-art AI fall detection system. New Perspective Weldon Spring is redefining senior living. Visit npseniorliving.com to schedule a tour day. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Another shot of winter to greet us for this Friday. We've got snow around all morning long. It's cloudy afternoon, 32. By the time it's done about midday, 1 to 2 inches, but this is enough to cause some road problems, especially with cold ground temperatures. Tonight, cloudy skies, some wandering snow flurries. It's a cold night, 20 degrees. Saturday, mostly sunny, 32. Sunday, partly sunny, 36. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's 6:07 and 25 degrees. You can listen to the Marc Cox Morning Show or any other show on 97.1 FM Talk anytime or anywhere by downloading the free Odyssey app.
The Marc Cox Morning Show is brought to you by Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
Listen to both sides. The bottom line is, I respect that we don't agree.
You're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show.
Just to find a voice. Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
I don't know how to put this.
Marc Cox.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Well, it adds excitement, doesn't it, folks?
All right, good morning to you. It's a Friday morning. The snow is falling. This is a television news director's dream right here. What's going on at this current moment? I just have to say. I didn't say that, Carl. It is, though. It is exactly. That's exactly what it is. There is snow falling during live morning newscasts. I've been there when they forecast that, and it didn't happen. And now it is happening. So there is snow coming down out there. It's coming down a little heavier than it was 2 hours ago as we drove in, and I'm sure it is affecting the morning commute. Sue Thomas is going to have to deal with all that fallout, so please stay tuned throughout the morning, and she'll tell you where the trouble spots are. It is at least, in the high 20s, if I'm looking here correctly, 29, and it's only snow. There's no sleet, so hopefully you'll be okay. Just kind of take it slow. The biggest problem might be in those areas where the roads never were cleared off from the last storm a week ago. And I'm sure there's already a list of school closings. So just be careful. It's not like the olden days, Carl, when we had to wait for them to be brought up in alphabetical order.
Bill Wilkerson and Wendy Weiss on KMOX.
That was what I grew up with, though. It's watching the ticker. You turn on the morning news, and you're waiting to see if your school will be mentioned.
And now you could go to 971talk.com.
Yeah,
and figure that out.
And, well, you can. It's just so much easier these days. Plus, my phone already rang informing me that they've canceled my daughter's school today. So,
and they called Reardon the other day on the air. Sue was doing Sue's News, and they called while he was on the air because he's like, "I bet they cancel my kid's school tomorrow," and they did right then.
Sure,
and that was the day before.
Well, it's not. You drive the highways and you'd think to yourself, the roads are dry now for the most part. Why can't they get to school? And then you drive on the side roads and you see exactly why, because a lot of these kids drive themselves and the school buses can't negotiate these side roads. It's a little bit of a mess. But
hey, Mark, I have a question for you.
What would that be, Carl Middleman?
Who did news at the top of the hour?
Oh, Matthew.
There he is.
Good job, brother.
Appreciate that.
Welcome in.
Thank you so much. Glad
So
to be here.
in case you're not paying attention this morning, the reason we're doing that is that Matthew's kind of doing a little on-the-job training here, just in the instance that I'm out, Kim's sitting over here. We need somebody to fill in for news. He can kind of slide in there and do that, and we appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Or if I'm out, either way, you kind of can be the pinch hitter,
Absolutely.
which is nice.
Tell the people a little bit about yourself, Matthew.
South City, St. Louis, born and raised. Went to CBC High School. Then I went to Missouri. Started out doing journalism. Eventually finished with a communications degree. And I've been doing radio pretty much since I got back from Missouri in the summer of 2013. And I joined Odyssey a few months ago.
Well, congratulations. And you worked
you very
mainly in sports radio up until now,
yes,
right?
that's been
Largely?
the overwhelming majority of my career the past decade plus.
Was it ESPN?
Yes, yeah, 101 for the last few years and 590 before that for a long time.
Well, we're glad to have you, my friend. And that way, if Kim has any hard questions about sports or pronunciations,
This is true.
she can ask you.
You know, Annie Fry started at 590.
There we go. A little pipeline.
She did?
Before, or yeah.
I thought she was like on Air America or something she did for a little while, didn't
also she did.
Yeah.
But she started in sports.
Not as a host. Don't take that wrong. She was like behind the scenes running the board or
Yeah,
something when she
I
first
think
got
that's
out
where
of
she
college.
learned how to run a board.
Yeah, because she realized what a disaster liberal talk radio was at that point in her early career.
And then she went to sports. And now
Exactly.
she's here.
Exactly. All right, we got lots to get to this hour. We're going to talk to Jessica Rosenthal. A couple big Supreme Court decisions. In one case, we found out that the next Supreme Court Justice, Chief Justice Roberts, has a comrade in arms, and her name is Amy Coney Barrett. They joined with the liberals yesterday to deny the request to delay this sentencing that the Dems are anxious to do against President Trump before he gets sworn into office. I don't fully understand what Amy Coney Barrett was thinking about, but we're going to talk more about that for you coming up here shortly. Right now, let's get to the short list.
The Marc Cox short list.
Don Jr. and some of your team just got back from Greenland. What's the price tag?
Well, maybe no price tag.
Oh, he's going to get him going now. Baby, did you see that news conference yesterday? They're like, Trump, your son just got back from Greenland. What's it going to cost us? He goes, maybe nothing. That is the art of the deal right there.
There's water coming out there. You can use it.
I appreciate it. I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now. People
I'd
are
like
safe.
to make sure you do. Can I have an opportunity to at least tell people you're doing what you're saying you're doing?
Wow, that was a citizen who ran up to Gavin Newsom, and he's trying to tell her, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to get the president on the phone. I've called him 5 times so far, and he's not answering. She's like, there's no water coming out of the faucet right over there. What's the president got to do with this? You're the governor.
Madam Vice President, I know you're directly affected, so you fire away. No pun intended.
Indeed.
The pun was intended because he repeated it to the one of the fire officials right after that. I mean, folks, it's getting bad. The next 10 days could not go quickly enough.
I was with Wayne Gretzky. I said, Wayne, would you like to be the governor of Canada? I can't imagine anybody doing any better than Wayne. Wayne was not too interested.
This wide-ranging news conference that Trump did yesterday, again, they're like, so did you expect Justin Trudeau to resign after your meeting with him? He goes, no, I was a little surprised by that, but we had some hard conversations. And I'm sure Trudeau is shocked because he's had a bromance with Obama, and he's brothers in arms with Joe Biden, and he, speaking of arms, loves taking them away from Canadians, and he's just about as far left as you can get. He said yesterday, Canadians take pride in the fact that they're not Americans. Like, really? Like they'd rather live in a police state like you've built up in Canada? Are you kidding me? I shouldn't say
You
police
sounded
state.
Irish there,
I'm
by
sorry.
the way.
I know.
Don't you know, eh?
Don't you know? I sound like I'm from Minnesota
I think
when I talk like that.
The whole Trump thing, him coming into office, probably was the tipping point. But let's be real. Trudeau's a disaster.
Oh, yeah.
His own people who used to love him, right? He was kind of this handsome guy everyone thought was a great leader way back when, and they've even turned on him because he's destroyed their economy. The housing market's a disaster there, inflation, all sorts of things, and people are finally seeing through all the other stuff that they once liked about him and realizing the policies aren't working.
Maybe they realize that he's Fidel Castro's illegitimate son, and they're finally realizing the mistake they made all those years ago. Trump pointed out to him, we're subsidized Canada to the tune of $200 million a year. Why are we doing that? And he said, Trudeau said, I don't know. And Trump said, well, we're going to end that, or you could just become the 51st state. So he's a step ahead of them. He's playing chess while most of the rest of them are setting up the checkerboard. I just have to tell you that. All right, quick break here. Jessica Rosenthal coming up from Fox News Radio on these Supreme Court decisions. We'll get to in other news before the end of the hour. Next hour, we're going to talk more about that Trump sentencing decision and some of the new gun laws they're trying to force down the throat of Illinoisans. If you're listening to me in Southern Illinois this morning, it's a story you don't want to miss at about 7:35.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
More snow falling this morning, and now we are not getting huge accumulations, but it's not great on the roads. There was an accident southbound 55 north of 141 reported. Accident northbound 270 at 55. They've been working on this one in the left lane. Southbound 270 approaching 44. We had a car go off the roadway and into a snowbank. So they've got the right lane blocked through there. Also an accident reported Old 21 at Highway A. That one was minor, but it does involve a MoDOT truck. And we're just kind of a little bit slower than usual throughout the area, as we should be. Light traffic, but it's slow moving as drivers take it easy with what we're dealing with here this morning. And 55 is kind of taking it easy down south up to 270, northbound 270, same way. And if you're headed in from Illinois, we've got light traffic. Just be careful on those bridges downtown. It can get a little bit tricky through there. Yeah, it doesn't look terrible right now, but people are going a little bit slower. This report brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are open now for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now at overheaddoorstlewis.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
We told you, if you've ever had to go to the hassle of filing a insurance claim because a tree limb fell somewhere in your property, it's not enjoyable. Let's just put it that way. And my friends at Hanson's Tree Service can help you out with that. They have got some fantastic arborists out there who do this for a living. They are tree doctors, so to speak. They had one of them out at my house, I don't know, 3 months ago, maybe now, and just looking at a couple of what we thought were junipers. We found out they're not. And you can't trim these trees the way we had hoped to. We had them look at a few other trees on the property. They even noticed some problems with the neighbor's tree. When you're a tree doctor, you realize things like that. So if you want to have your yard analyzed by these folks to make it better and stronger before spring gets here, this is the time to do a lot of that winter yard work. And right now you can get a 10% winter discount on all tree care that's scheduled through March. So call them today, 636-379-1830. That's 379-1830. Tell them Marc Cox sent you, or go online to hansonstree.com.
News that's on time.
On your time.
Download the Odyssey app and dip in whenever you want. And stay on top of what's happening. 97.1 FM Talk on the Odyssey app.
A lot of people, when they come in, they'll say, this is my last hope. The next step is getting them in the right arch supports. Our goal is to have that long-term change for them, to see someone that is in pain. I change things for them. See how we can help you with a free fitting at the Good Feet store.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
Are your windows drafty, outdated, or hard to open?
Choose Infinity from Marvin Windows. Crafted from durable fiberglass for superior energy efficiency, beauty, and performance. At Lakeside Renovation and Design, we specialize in custom-fit professional window installations that transform your home. Plus, with our lifetime workmanship warranty, you'll have peace of mind for years to come. Call Lakeside today or visit windowsbylakeside.com to schedule your free window consultation. Replace with confidence. Choose Infinity from Marvin.
Solutions with conviction. This is the Marc Cox Morning Show.
Welcome back. So a couple of big decisions yesterday coming out of the Supreme Court. Well, I shouldn't say coming out of the Supreme Court. There was a decision made by the Supreme Court yesterday. There's going to be a hearing in the Supreme Court on another big issue today, and that's going to be whether or not this law goes into effect banning TikTok in the United States unless they divest. Jessica Rosenthal is covering that for Fox News Radio this morning. Jessica, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you know, it appears to me that all of the courts up until now, correct me if I'm wrong, have agreed to back this law, correct?
Yes. Well, when Congress does something, largely the Supreme Court, that's a heavy bar to get past because, as we all know, the Supreme Court says we're in the business of interpreting law.
Right.
And so when Congress says, we all want this, that's a big burden. But we do have precedent, right? And that we're going to be hearing about this throughout the day and probably in court, right? The one of the most recent precedents we have backs what you just said, right? That the government has a lot of power in deciding national security issues. They are making the case that the TikTok in the way that it exists now presents a national security issue. And when Justice Elena Kagan was Solicitor General in 2010, she argued for a government law that said that restricted speech because of who the government had determined was a terrorist organization or an individual. And Justice Roberts wrote for the majority in that case in 2010, quote, the government, when seeking to prevent imminent harms in the context of international affairs and national security, is not required to conclusively link all the pieces in the puzzle before we grant weight to its conclusions, siding with the government there.
Yeah.
So we've heard from Justice Kagan there and Justice Roberts here in the recent past. Now, on the other side, as you know, TikTok is saying this is a free speech issue because essentially what you're forcing us to do is sell our own product. And if we don't, you're going to ban the speech of the people on this platform. On that side of the ledger, there's a reference to very old court precedent from the 60s. At least that's one of the cases that we're hearing talked about in terms of precedent, in which the Supreme Court concluded that Americans should get to hear from the marketplace of ideas.
Yeah.
That a lot of speech should be allowed, even speech we don't like, right? The government is saying, well, that's not a really good argument, TikTok, because this is not just a company owning a social media platform based in any old country. It's China. Mm-hmm. And we can throw intelligence officials at you. We can bring out the evidence and the data that China is a different sort of entity that we're dealing with here, and that they are adversarial in many ways. We'll hear that.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because as this deadline gets closer, because this is now a platform where people go to monetize their content. People are making, I would imagine, millions of dollars from posting on TikTok. I mean, even Donald Trump has said he has a warm spot for TikTok, because didn't he use that as part of his campaign strategy along with other candidates as well, knowing that they could reach out to a lot of these younger voters through TikTok?
So your point is extremely important, right? Because we're having this this legal argument, right? But it doesn't happen in a vacuum. Real people are affected by this. And you're right. President-elect Trump has said, he had said years ago when he was president that he wanted a TikTok ban. Now
Right.
he's saying, well, hold on a second. Let's reconsider this. And his attorneys filed paperwork with the Supreme Court saying, why don't you guys just kick this back? Give me time as president-elect, soon to be president, to negotiate something new. I will share with you, we spoke to Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, this past week for our Fox News Rundown podcast. And he says he and billionaire Frank McCourt are ready to buy TikTok, even without the algorithm, because that's the sticking point, right, is that ByteDance says they're not selling the algorithm. And O'Leary says, fine, sell it to me, sell it to us. We're ready to go. Frank's got the tech stack. I've got the people. And we want the Supreme Court to know, and they put out a press release this week saying it, that they're ready and willing to buy. They've got a letter of intent. And he said that's extremely important because they don't want anybody before the court today to say, well, there's not even a buyer.
Yes.
O'Leary says, we're the buyer. We're ready to go. So his ideal situation is that President Biden, as the current executive, sees the way the court's going ahead of January 19th, even if there's not a ruling yet, and says, you know what, let's give a stay of execution here for 90 days. If you will negotiate in good faith, you've got 90 days to figure it out. So I will stay the law taking effect January 19th if you think you can get this done. That's his dream goal.
So, Jessica, do we have an idea, or is it expected they would rule on this then sometime before the 19th?
Yeah, that is very possible. And
Okay.
as you and I and everybody listening knows, that is highly unusual.
Yes.
To have a quick, but because of the deadline, because so many people are affected, because we're changing administrations, I think there's this full court press sort of to get some sort of decision out of the court early on it. It doesn't mean they have to.
Yes.
The justices could take their time and say, you know what, we'll get back to you in July. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think we're going to have some decision on this more imminently.
Jessica Rosenthal, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, take care of yourself. Good to get her on here. I think maybe that ship has already sailed in terms of security damage to the United States, for sure. Some big business news expected this morning. We'll talk to Nicole Murray coming up.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun. Always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-230-9333. 314-230-9333. That's 314-230-9333.
Marc Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group, for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Thursday, January 30th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here are Thomas and Bob with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and would like to learn how linking to the market eliminates your fees and will generate you more income? Would you like to know how to lock in your gains every year without selling, even when the market's going down?
Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any future losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you can't afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg. Join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw, Thursday, January 30th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Another shot of winter to greet us for this Friday. We've got snow around all morning long. It's cloudy afternoon, 32. By the time it's done about midday, 1 to 2 inches, but this is enough to cause some road problems, especially with cold ground temperatures. Tonight, cloudy skies, some wandering snow flurries. It's a cold night, 20 degrees. Saturday, mostly sunny, 32. Sunday, partly sunny, 36. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
For 97.1 FM Talk, I'm Matthew Rocchio. It's 6:30 and 25 degrees. A proposed price increase by Ameren Missouri of 15% is needed to improve infrastructure across the company's network, according to the company's regulatory vice president, Warren Wood. If the proposal goes through, customers could see their bills rise by $15 to $20. For the plan to pass, it would require approval by the Missouri Public Service Commission. Customers are encouraged to comment on the proposal at the public hearings, both in person and virtual. Meetings are scheduled from January 21st through January 27th. A new sports complex is nearing approval in St. Charles County as the plans for a $100 million indoor complex went in front of the O'Fallon City Council last night. The O'Fallon Sports Center is presented as a one-of-a-kind, purpose-built youth sports development anchor that would draw teams from throughout the Midwest. The 160,000-square-foot multi-sport building plans for soccer fields, basketball courts, and areas for volleyball and gymnastics. In sports, the Blues boat raced the Ducks last night 6-2. Game 2 of their 4-game homestand is tomorrow against the Blue Jackets at 6. Led by big plays from former St. Louis stars Jeremiah Love and Christian Gray, Notre Dame outlasted Penn State 27-24 to clinch their berth in the College Football National Championship. I'm Matthew Rocchio. It's 6:31 and 25 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Good morning to you. Yep, more snow falling. It's never great news in the road department here, but it's not terrible. If you are careful, you should be fine, at least on the interstates, but we've got issues. Stall reported eastbound 44 approaching 141. Watch for that in the right lane. Stranded motorists just came in westbound 364 west of Highway K, stuck on the left shoulder. There was an accident reported eastbound 6440 approaching Wing Haven, and it's difficult to see. It's snowing and it's dark, but it looks to me like that one may be in the left lane. There was an accident southbound 270 approaching 44, kind of near Marshall Road. This one was a car that ran into the snowbank on the right side. Accident earlier, Old 21 at Highway A. And 55 near 67, we had a report of a vehicle into the median, but no lanes blocked. So I assume the grassy median down there. And crews have been working with an accident this morning, northbound 270 at 55, and they've had the left lane blocked through there. But it's Friday morning, and on Friday mornings we generally have lighter traffic, so it's not as bad as it could be. Oh, and now an accident coming in. Eastbound 255, just before Telegraph, so beware through there as well. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
If you want to see what bathroom goals looks like, you need to go follow Lakeside Renovation and Design on social media. They have an Instagram page, a Facebook page, and they update it regularly. You're going to see some really, really cool before and afters that it'll inspire you. Even if you're not ready to actually do a project at your home, you can just get some ideas. So when the time comes, you give Lakeside Renovation and Design a call, and they're going to help you create that dream space at your home, whether it would be inside or outside. So it could be a new kitchen, a new spa-like bathroom, could be a new outdoor space like an all-season room, where even when it's snowing and it's freezing out like it is right now, you could still sit out there right now. Just imagine drinking a cup of coffee. You're still warm and you get to watch the beautiful snow falling down. You could have your basement finished. You could create this ultimate kind of hangout spot for your family and friends. One of Lakeside's in-house designers, they'll help you pick all the finishes. You get to customize it to exactly the way you want it. I really appreciate that Lakeside's a family-owned business. I know the family. They're fantastic. They really love supporting the show, and they back up their work with a lifetime workmanship warranty. Plus, now through the end of January, Lakeside's offering 12 months, no payments, no interest. It's a great deal. If you're interested, give them a call today. 636-978-5000 or check them out online at lakesiderd.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show wants to hear from you, and telling us what you think is easier than ever. Open the Odyssey app to 97.1 FM Talk. Click on the microphone and leave Mark and Kim a message. It's that easy to share your take.
Thinking of buying a new home? Think TR Hughes. TR Hughes Homes has great prices on beautiful new homes at 4 desirable locations. Charlestown Landing in North St. Charles, convenient to Highway 370. The Grove at Riverdale and St. Paul with standard 4-car garages, just 10 minutes from the St. Peter's Dearborns. Arbor Valley and Wentzville on Highway N with minimum half-acre wooded lots. And our newest community, Elkhorn Ridge in Truesdale, just west of Wright City, minutes from Highway 70. Come and see why TR Hughes is St. Charles and now Warren County's premier home builder. trhughes.com.
The 28th Winter Warm-Up is coming to Busch Stadium and Ballpark Village January 18th through the 20th. The event features 3 days full of non-stop Cardinals family-friendly fun, including tours of the Cardinals clubhouse, admission to the world-class Cardinals Hall of Fame and Museum, plus access to the Cardinals Care Store, autographs, auctions, and an exhibit hall full of sports memorabilia and more. Tickets are on sale now. Proceeds benefit Cardinals Care and its mission to care for kids in the community. Find more details at cardinals.com/WWU.
Hi, I'm Brad Keselowski, driver of the number 2 Discount Tire Ford Mustang. Did you know one of the most important keys to success on the track and for safe driving on the road is having the right pressure in your tires? Properly inflated tires are essential to help you get the best gas mileage and keep you driving safely. Check your tire pressure at least once a month or stop by your local tire retailer for an air check.
A message from the U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association.
He's bringing the heat. You're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show.
Can we ask you what you hope to get out of your visit to Mar-a-Lago to talk to Donald Trump?
What are we talking about here? Is there some news?
There's some news. We hear that you're going to be heading down to Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yes, I've heard that, yeah.
What will you be discussing with the president?
Well, yeah, I demand that I need to be made Pope of Greenland.
I have to tell you, this Fetterman guy out of Pennsylvania is growing on me, man. He's on the list now. He's been invited to Mar-a-Lago. He's the Democrat senator from Pennsylvania. When he was running after that stroke, I was really stunned that he got elected. But now that he's kind of come out the other side of that thing, he's funny. He wears hoodie sweatshirts everywhere, whether he's on a network news set or in his office in Congress. And they were waiting for him when he came out of his office yesterday. And they walked down the hall with him, and they're begging to know why he would dare want to go to Mar-a-Lago. And eventually, after he said that funny comment about being the Pope of Greenland, he said, listen, I'm not just the senator for Democrats of Pennsylvania. I'm the senator for everybody in Pennsylvania, and he's the incoming administration president, and I'm going to go meet with him and find out what his goals are.
You think he's the new Tulsi Gabbard?
I don't know. Maybe.
Former Democrat kind of moves inches over a little bit more to the right.
He's going to be so moderate that Chuck Schumer is going to stop inviting him to meetings here at some point. He's not going to like that cooperation at all, for sure. Hey, let's get to Nicole Murray, please. Good morning, Nicole. How are you?
It's Friday, baby.
Friday. You got some job numbers coming out in about an hour. You got lots to work on today, right?
Yes, lots to work on.
So what are they, like, is this another one of those expectations are already built in? If it's a little high or a little low, then the market tanks?
I find the market just does whatever it wants. Sometimes the market, really hard to say why or how or because of this. But
what was it last time, Nicole? Wasn't it that they accidentally overestimated the number of jobs added by only, what was it?
That was for the year,
wasn't it?
It
was 700,000 jobs for the year. We were so close, but just a little off.
Something like that, yes.
It's all a guess. They don't know what the hell's going on.
So fingers crossed they're a little bit more accurate today.
Let's hope.
That it's getting good news.
What else you got going on?
All right, so futures are slightly lower. Wednesday, the Dow Industrials gained 106, the Nasdaq down 10, and the S&P 500 up 9. Today, like you said, is Jobs Friday. Economists expect the Bureau of Labor Statistics to report a gain of 155,000 non-farm payrolls, a step down from the surprising 227,000 increase in November. The unemployment rate is forecast to hold steady at 4.2%. Data drops at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. List prices for the top 25 prescription drugs covered by Medicare Part D have nearly doubled since they were first brought to the market. That's according to a new AARP report. Moreover, that price growth has often exceeded the rate of inflation. The findings highlight the importance of allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices, according to AARP. The Supreme Court is set to hear arguments today on whether the law that would effectively ban TikTok in the U.S. unless its Chinese parent company ByteDance divests violates the Constitution's free speech protections. TikTok announced it will shut down in the U.S. on January 19th unless the Supreme Court strikes down or delays the law requiring it to be sold. The wildfires wreaking devastation in the Los Angeles area could become the costliest blaze in U.S. history. The insured losses from this week's fires may exceed $20 billion. That's according to estimates published by J.P. Morgan. These losses would far surpass the $12.5 billion insured damages from the 2018 Camp Fire. Today is known as Quitter's Day, when most people abandon their health-related New Year's resolutions. To help keep you on track, Chipotle is offering 50,000 free Chipotle lifestyle bowls, which are perfect for sticking to health-focused goals. And finally, are you participating in Dry January? Did you already slip up? No worries. Here are a few tips to get you back on track. Number 1, stock up on free spirit-free options like mocktails or your favorite non-alcoholic beverages. Number 2, share your Dry January goals with family and friends. They can offer support and keep you accountable.
Well, I was, but today's Quitter's Day, so I got to.
This sounds like it was planned all along, Mark.
The timing is perfect. I'm just kidding you. I was sipping on some Planters Ozark American last night as I was watching the football game, the Penn State Notre Dame game.
Oh,
sorry, I'm not participating in Dry January.
I'm only doing it because one of my co-hosts kind of like coerced me into it. We're doing a diet. We're doing Dry January. I'm miserable over here.
Was that Mike Gavin who
Gavin
did that
is
to you?
doing that to you?
Yes, it is Mike Gavin who is doing this to me.
I should do that with Mark. Mark, you want to do a healthy diet?
No.
Okay.
But
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
I'm Googling the Chipotle thing right now, or as Mark calls it, Chipotle.
I have to tell you, we're pretty well known here, Nicole, for our Italian food in St. Louis, particularly on the Hill, is famous for that. And I found a little restaurant near my house called Ami's out at Monticello Plaza off of K and O'Fallon Road. And I went in there last night, and I had their salsiccia sandwich.
Salsiccia.
And it was outstanding. I'm just telling you. Other than all the carbs that I took in, eating that big loaf of bread that it was on, it was so good. And I see. I couldn't do the diet thing. I couldn't do the alcohol thing. I drank a beer while I was eating it.
I had pizza last night, so there's that.
You both are the worst, knowing I'm dieting and talking to me about sandwiches and pizza.
No, the pizza
Shame
was
on you.
terrible. You should be happy you didn't have it.
Thank you for that.
No, the other sandwich was great. So did I understand there, as we were talking off air, that we're just about at the 1 year mark of you joining Compass? Is that true?
It was the 1 year mark, December 15th, actually.
Wow, time flies. I
Yes.
can't believe it's been a whole year. You either, huh?
No, I can't believe it either. I look at Gordon, I was like, how grateful are you?
I love it. I love it.
I get the biggest eye roll ever, but I know he means it with love.
Well, keep us updated on your progress, Nicole, please.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys and the support and everything in between.
We'll be rooting for you. I won't send you any wine or cookies or anything.
No. You can send wine. This is done after January.
Oh, okay. Just a few more days.
Exactly.
All right,
Thanks
Nicole.
so much, guys.
Yep, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's good. Oh, so good. That food last night was so good.
Italian's
If you've not
probably
been
the pasta is probably the number one thing I crave. I crave Chinese food and pasta. Like any day of the week, I'm good with that. All year round, that is what I want. If my husband and I can't decide on dinner, how about Chinese or how about Italian? Like the problem is I try not to eat that many carbs. So I don't like to have a bunch of pasta in my house. But I had, they sell Katie's pizza, the actual like sauce and the homemade pasta. Yeah. I didn't get the homemade pasta. I should have. It's pretty expensive, but I got the sauce and it was phenomenal. I would have blended it up and had it as a smoothie. That's how good it was.
I always tell myself I'm going to cut back on carbs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go to a place like this restaurant last night, Ami's, which is they have the best toasted rabs and their dinner, their big salad they make is my wife loves that. It's delicious. And the first thing they do is bring me out a basket of bread, which, I was there by myself, so I ate all of it. And then they bring me out the sandwich, and it's on a big toasted hoagie. Now, if I'd been thinking, I would have taken the bread away and just used my knife and fork to cut up the sausage, but I didn't do that.
No,
so
the bread
I consumed
makes the sandwich.
I consumed a lot of carbs in that one sitting there, plus pasta as the side.
That's okay, Mark.
So we found this place. We're thrilled. If you live in that general area, you got to go there. It's really good.
I'll have to go.
Mm-hmm. You're not far. You're not too far.
No, I'm
from
not
there.
too far.
You can head over there and check it out. Ami's, AMI''S. Good stuff. All right, coming up, we're going to get to in other news here in just a couple of minutes. Next hour, we're going to talk about what in the world is going on in Illinois. I know I've asked that question far too often for my Southern Illinois listeners. We love you, but the folks up in Springfield are out of control, and this time it's affecting your Second Amendment rights again, and I'm sure it's going to end up tied up in court. But we're going to talk to Illinois State Rep David Freese coming up here at about 7:35. Stay tuned.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Snow falling, but it's a Friday morning when we generally have lighter volume, and that's kind of helping out. There is an accident northbound 55. Somebody spun out in the left lane. A fire truck is just now arriving on the scene. If you are traveling in that area, wow, be careful. He was just sitting there. It looks like he's facing the wrong direction, so hopefully they will get this sorted out. Stranded motorist reported westbound 364 west of K. Accident eastbound 255 approaching Telegraph. That's on the right side. Let's see. We also had another thing on 55. It's an accident southbound 55 north of 141. They've had multiple right lanes blocked for that one. And an accident reported eastbound 6440 approaching Winghaven. Watch for that on the left side. Now, they did clear the car. We had a vehicle run into a snowbank this morning on southbound 270 near Marshall Road. That is gone. And we are just kind of snow slowed throughout the entire area this morning. So if you are headed out, just take care, right? It's snow falling. We've got some wet roadways, but the interstates aren't snow covered at this hour. Now, that being said, I just took a look at 55 down south at 67, and there are some snow-covered lanes there. Of course, it depends on where you are. The Illinois side, kind of the same as the Missouri side, although their roads are just a little bit better because they were better plowed to begin with. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
The Annie Fry Show.
Do you feel like the Democrat Party is doing what they need to do to make this a close fight in the midterms and then again in 2028?
What we're seeing right now is a Democratic Party that's in free fall.
The Annie Fry Show, weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.1 FM Talk.
The holiday season may be coming to a close, but there's still plenty of time to make it a magical one. Ring in the new year with something stunning and timeless from Diamonds Direct. Start the new year with a celebration of your love, or even a celebration of yourself. Whether you're shopping for the perfect wedding bands, a beautiful pair of diamond studs that were missing from under your tree, or the engagement ring of their dreams, Diamonds Direct has just what you're wishing for. This year, make your New Year's resolution to shop smarter by shopping direct. Making a decision on where to make your next jewelry purchase has never been easier. At Diamonds Direct, you're guaranteed to get an extraordinary value, ironclad warranties, and the white glove service that we've long been known for. Let the experts at Diamonds Direct show you the difference in a concierge luxury shopping experience. Kick off the new year the way you've always wanted. Customize your experience in-store or online at DiamondsDirect.com today. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
A 2024 survey by Navitus Health Solutions reported that 48% of Americans have been unable to fill a needed prescription at least once due to the cost. RX Outreach, an online nonprofit mail-order pharmacy based in St. Louis, is committed to providing safe and affordable medications for everyone. They offer over 950 medicines for chronic illnesses and conditions and ship to all 50 states, regardless of insurance, without membership fees or copays. Contact RX Outreach at 314-222-0472 or visit rxoutreach.org. If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
Nailing it. Marc Cox.
What's happening?
Go, you know the thing.
What the hell is going on?
In other news.
Chris Stapleton's All-American Roadshow Tour is back for its 9th year. It will make a stop here in St. Louis on July 11th. It's going to be out at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. Now, he's going to be taking a bunch of people on tour with him this year, but it looks like at our stop we're going to get Brittany Spencer. If you haven't heard her, she's really good, I think. But
I thought you were going to say Britney Spears.
So did I.
I'm like, where's
like, really?
On a country
What a
tour.
combo.
They're going to rename it the Crazy Tour.
Yeah, so if you want more details, head up Chris Stapleton's website, chrisstapleton.com. Speaking of tickets, the UK government has announced plans to tackle ticket resale at inflated prices, aiming to protect fans from exploitation by professional scalpers.
Is this after the Oasis ticket scandal?
It has something to do with that, and I believe
The Taylor Swift ticket
yes.
scandal? Okay.
Proposed measures include capping resale prices, stricter regulations for resale platforms, and enhanced consumer enforcement. Also increased fines for the violators.
Wait, is this in California, did you say?
No,
UK.
Oh.
Now, they do need to do this in the U.S. because getting
Yes.
tickets is impossible.
Yeah, that lottery
Well,
thing is kind of weird.
You know,
It's just impossible.
I'm a capitalist. I understand if you have something of value and you can resell it for a higher dollar amount. It's the artists who get screwed on it. I mean,
Yeah.
they're getting face value for their tickets, and somebody's reselling them for $2,000.
Would
Give
this
me a
also
break.
deal with sports as well?
I would guess.
I would think all tickets
Because,
in general.
you know, Super Bowl tickets are multi-million-dollar things.
You mean guaranteeing that they'll never hold a Super Bowl in the UK with a law like that in place?
But they have like 4 games in the UK.
I know,
now.
I know, but they're not going to like that very
Well,
much.
no, but also the reason that Goodell said they wouldn't have a Super Bowl in the UK is the fact that unless they did it in a different time than we normally would have it, they're 6 hours ahead, so they'd have to play it at 11 o'clock at night.
The Super Bowl should not be in a foreign country.
I agree.
I agree with that 100%, Sue.
But you do call them world champions when they win. So
Which is also kind of
And
odd
there
to
aren't
me.
any Canadian teams.
Planet Fitness is offering free access to showers and Wi-Fi at the Los Angeles County locations to support residents displaced by the wildfires and first responders. Their offer is valid until January 15th at dozens of the locations, but I just wanted to highlight that. I thought that was kind of cool that they're opening up everything for all these people. Like, hey, come in, get your Wi-Fi, get a shower.
Planet Fitness already had it open up. Like, men can use the women's room, women can use the men's room. So there you go. We got it all covered.
Need a rim shot there. Carl.
Yeah, there you go. But
Wait a minute.
that's okay. No, we don't.
No, that was actually kind of funny, Mark. I'll give you that.
2024, Illinois received 60,537 requests for personalized license plates. They rejected about 335 for being offensive, lewd, or difficult to read. Among the rejected were plates like Jagweed, Munch, and Bad Arse. I'm saying it correctly.
You're not even saying some of the worst ones.
No, I know. Well,
You should Google this.
we're getting down there.
You can't say some of the worst ones on radio.
That
The
is
FCC
true.
Has
And how did they
bans
think
against
that they would get away with that?
I don't know.
You
Illinois
try.
has the most, personalized license plates. Yeah, well, that too. But they have enough, what am I trying to say, digits on there
They
or
have
spaces
7.
Right.
for characters that they can go nuts.
And for a while, I don't know if this is still the case, but you could have a personalized plate if you had a number at the end and they didn't charge you. So
Oh, wow.
So
So if you were really creative,
Right.
you'd get it for free.
Yeah.
Well, one person wanted MW, 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 and if you go look at that all together, it's extremely difficult. It's very hard to read, which I'm sure they liked.
And one of the most popular one was the Haktua.
Somebody trying to sneak that in somehow.
Yeah,
and
what?
I mean, at the end of the day, why do they care? I mean,
you don't want to be offended, Mark.
Well, yeah. I mean, who's offended by that?
Imagine
driving down the road.
Cops being on a high-speed chase and they're like, license plate Hawk
I'm
Tua.
having to call it in. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what it is.
We're trying to follow. They have to. No, there's like an Amber Alert, and they have to put out one of those digital messages on the interstate for all the residents to see, and it's like license plate Hawk Tua, red Camry. Please watch out for them.
Yeah, that could be it.
There was a failed bank robbery in Loveland, Colorado. It was thwarted by the would-be thief's illegible handwriting. This would be me. Which prevented the bank teller from understanding his demands. The incident happened at the First National Bank located about 50 miles north of Denver. And according to the Loveland Police Department, the man entered the bank, handed the teller the note with his demands. However, the handwriting was so poor, the teller could not decipher it, leading to confusion. As the situation escalated, the man grew visibly frustrated by the teller's inability to comprehend his demands. And after a brief, intense exchange, the suspect abandoned his attempted robbery and left the bank without any money.
Isn't it like a Woody Allen bit from like the 70s?
It sounds familiar for some reason. I can't read this, and
And the city of Bend, Oregon is urging residents to please stop attaching googly eyes to roadside sculptures, and removing them is costly and risks damaging the art. The gag involved oversized eyes taped to a deer and geometrical artwork in the roundabouts, and has led to over $1,500 in removal expenses due to adhesive-related damages, requiring special treatment for materials, like their stainless steel that they're attached
That's
to.
hilarious.
That's like telling the good old country
eyes?
boys not to shoot at the road signs, like the speed signs.
Isn't it a pickle jar that's somewhere here in the St. Louis area?
It's up by West
They
County
don't
Mall.
have googly eyes on it, but like
It's
nobody.
West County.
Okay, thank
By
you.
the mall.
I've never seen it, but I would like to because apparently this is a very well-known pickle jar.
Oh yeah, it's famous.
It doesn't move.
It's been there for years.
It's crazy.
Coming up, we're going to talk about our friends in Illinois and what the General Assembly is trying to do to your gun rights. All that straight ahead on the Marc Cox Morning Show. We'll be back.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Surprise! Surprise! You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
I'm William Shatner. I've been around a long time, but I'm truly humbled when I see the real battles our brave, paralyzed veterans have faced defending our freedom. And when they come home,
I had just come home from serving over in Germany. Next thing I know, it was 3 weeks later. I was paralyzed.
While parachuting with my platoon, my parachute didn't open. And I broke my neck. It left me paralyzed for the rest of my life.
I was on a routine patrol
and we were in the desert of Kuwait, and the vehicle flipped and landed on top of me, which left me paralyzed from the waist down.
Okay, folks, this is heroism. That's why I'm proud to support Paralyzed Veterans of America, because they've kept their promise to never leave a fallen soldier behind. A roof over their heads, accessible homes, cars, jobs, benefits.
PVA has brought me back to life.
Show them their sacrifice hasn't been in vain. Go to PVA.org to learn how you can make a difference.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This hasn't happened before. Sentencing day for a former president about to return to the White House. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
They can have fun with their political opponent. As you know, I'm under a gag order from a judge. This is the first. This was an attack.
President-elect Trump calls the case a disgrace, but he also said he respects the Supreme Court's ruling refusing to block sentencing next hour because the justices suggested he appeal the convictions, which Trump plans to.
The court said, quote, "The burden that sentencing will impose on the president-elect's responsibilities is relatively insubstantial in light of the trial court's stated intent to impose a sentence of unconditional discharge after a brief virtual hearing."
Fox's Eric Shawn. Outside the New York court, Trump was convicted of falsifying business records in 2016 payments to keep an alleged affair quiet. Now, today, the Supreme Court will consider TikTok's appeal 9 days before the social media app could be banned in the U.S. under a law passed last year mandating TikTok cut ties with its Chinese parent company over concerns about surveillance of users and Chinese manipulation of TikTok content. The wildfire disaster keeps getting worse in the Los Angeles area.
5,000 structures destroyed here at this Palisades fire. So far, 2 people have died in this fire, 10 people in total in these L.A. County wildfires.
Fox's Bill Malugin, surrounded by charred ruins in Pacific Palisades.
Every single house on this street is destroyed on both sides of the street. And every single street we've passed by looks like this.
Another 5,000 plus homes and buildings have burned in other fires, and this is making the firefight tougher.
L.A. County Super Scooper aircraft that are so important. There's only 2 of them. One of them is now grounded because it was struck by a civilian drone out here at the Palisades fire.
A storm that dumped almost a foot of snow on Texas has canceled more than 2,000 flights today, many to and from Atlanta, Charlotte, Dallas, and Nashville, as much of the South gets a dose of winter. America's listening to Fox News.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
For 97.1 FM Talk, I'm Matthew Rocchio. It's 7:03 and 26 degrees. A St. Louis alderwoman plans to propose a measure today that would strip the mayor of some of her power and hire a city manager. Alderwoman Daniela Velasquez says her proposal isn't meant to be a criticism of Tashara Jones, but instead a long-term plan to look at ways to make St. Louis more successful. The measure could appear on the August 2026 ballot and would require approval from 60% of voters in a citywide election. Whatever happens today for the snowfall, St. Louis County officials told residents their plows are fully equipped to answer the call and clarified MoDOT's road plowing priorities. All interstates and higher volume highways are continuously plowed. Lower volume state numbered or lettered routes are plowed to open two-way traffic, and then following the storm, accumulation will be cleared on shoulders. MoDOT assured residents in a statement that crews have been working around the clock on 12-hour shifts since Saturday. The bill is coming due for the legal battle between the state and St. Louis County over who held power to replace Wesley Bell as St. Louis County prosecutor. Following the decision of the courts in favor of the governor's office on January 3rd, the private attorney fees for the county's failed fight adds up to just over $19,000 for services through November 30th. County Councilman Dennis Hancock told Fox 2 News that he expects the final bill to be even higher after most of the work on the case was done in December. It's 7:04 and 26 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk. In sports, the Blues boat raced the Ducks last night 6-2. Game 2 of their 4-game homestand is tomorrow against the Blue Jackets at 6. Notre Dame will play in the College Football National Championship after outlasting Penn State 27-24 on a 41-yard field goal with 7 seconds remaining in the Orange Bowl. They'll play either Texas or Ohio State depending on who wins tonight's Cotton Bowl. Kickoff for the Cotton Bowl is at 6:30. And it's been over a month since St. Louis City SC hired their second full-time head coach and former Swedish national Olof Mellberg, and the new coach will be officially introduced today at a 10 a.m. press conference. It's 7:05 and 26 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, of course, we've got new snow falling. Take it easy on the roads. It's Friday, though, when we generally have lighter traffic, and that's the case this morning. But some incidents. Accident now. Eastbound 6440, this is before you get to McKnight. They've got the left lane blocked, and traffic is really crawling around that, just as drivers take care. And there was an accident southbound 55. This one is approaching 141. They've had multiple right lanes blocked trying to deal with that one. There was also an accident eastbound 255 just before Telegraph. Watch out for that. There was an accident earlier on northbound 270 at 55. It's kind of tricky through there. Now, we also have a report of a stall. This one is northbound 170 at I-70, and they've got the right lane blocked. And we are kind of weather slowed throughout the area, so give yourself extra time if you are headed out this morning. There was an accident westbound 6440 at 14th Street downtown. So that really jammed up traffic if you were headed in from Illinois, but they got that cleared. So things should start to thin out through there. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Another shot of winter to greet us for this Friday. We've got snow around all morning long. It's cloudy afternoon, 32. By the time it's done about midday, 1 to 2 inches, but this is enough to cause some road problems, especially with cold ground temperatures. Tonight, cloudy skies, some wandering snow flurries. It's a cold night, 20 degrees. Saturday, mostly sunny, 32. Sunday, partly sunny, 36. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's 7:07 and 26 degrees. You can listen to the Marc Cox Morning Show or any other show on 97.1 FM Talk anytime or anywhere by downloading the free Odyssey app.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan at McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
The Marc Cox Morning Show is brought to you by Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
I want to compliment your show on how fair and level-headed everything you guys talk about.
Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
Maybe what we need from a conservative standpoint is
the Marc Cox Morning Show.
I respect that. We don't agree.
Listen to both sides.
This,
let's get it on,
is the Marc Cox Morning Show.
All right, good morning to you. It is a Friday morning, and of course, sort of like Monday morning, the way we started off the week, we are ending the week. No, it's not quite as bad, but there is snow falling out there and lots of slowdowns as people are kind of taking it easy because, let's face it, some of the roads aren't all that clean to begin with, and now you've got, in some cases, I'd say moderately heavy snowfall coming down right now. I reached out to my wife already and said, you better leave a few minutes early. She and my daughter are attending an event actually downtown this week, yesterday and today and tomorrow, and they're going to have to drive down here, and I know it's going to take longer as people slow down out there. Hey, this is happening further south. It's worse. We were told they'd get maybe 4, 6 8 inches down south of Farmington. This is stretching all the way across the southern portion of our viewing area all the way into the Carolinas. It's snowing in Atlanta, Georgia right now.
Yeah, I saw my friends in Nashville were saying they're expecting several inches of snow there, which is a big deal.
Oh, do you remember when you lived there? Like when I lived in Greenville, South Carolina years ago as a reporter there, an anchor, when the meteorologists would forecast snow, they would just go ahead and call the schools off.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have to wait for a
Texas.
drop to fall. They would just cancel school because so many of the areas were rural to begin with, and they have no snow clearing machines. They don't invest in them.
Well, they don't need to. I mean,
Yeah.
I agree. It was like 1 inch was catastrophic for them, and everyone would stay off the roads, and no one knew how to drive who did try to go on the roads. But it is interesting seeing snow falling, like you said, in the Carolinas and Georgia, in Tennessee, Texas. And people were freaking out.
And here's the other thing. I mean, 300 flights have already been canceled at the Nashville airport. If Atlanta's seeing snow, you know that's going to happen in Atlanta. It's a major hub. If you're flying anywhere today, you better start checking your flights now, because this system going through the South could mess with your travel plans, your vacation plans, whatever it happens to be, in addition to what it's doing to Sue Thomas this morning. So she'll have the latest on your commute here in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned for that. Coming up, we're going to get to our friend, Illinois State Rep David Freese, and he's going to be talking more about some new legislation passed by the General Assembly over in Illinois that is, once again, the brain trust over there convinced if we just had more laws to limit access to guns, we could stop crime. It's the most idiotic thing, but they've got a supermajority. It's what they're doing. We're going to talk to him about that if you live in Illinois. And next hour, we'll talk to Gerard Filitti. Of course, he's a political strategist. We've had him on before. He's the head of the Lawfare Project. He's the senior counsel for them. And he's going to talk a little bit more about the Supreme Court decision blocking President Trump's hush money case from being put off, the sentencing. Like that's supposed to happen this morning, just so you know if you haven't been keeping up. Right now, Carl, let's get to the short list, please.
The Marc Cox short list.
What were you talking to Barack Obama about?
It did look very friendly, I must say. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it, how friendly it looked.
Maybe he was offering him a new chef or something for his estate up there in the Hamptons. I don't know. They went so far that they had lip readers working on this, trying to figure out what these two men were talking about, and they decided that it had something to do with an issue that President Trump wanted to ask Obama about and was trying to set up a meeting with him outside of the church so that they could discuss it. I don't know if that happened or not.
You all do a hell of a job. And we've learned, unfortunately, so much. And there is, in case you haven't noticed, there is global warming.
Can I just tell you, for some odd reason yesterday, I was trying to get coverage of the Carter funeral as I was driving, and I switched over to NPR for a few minutes. And those loose left-wing nuts are also harping about how what's going on out there is not poor forest management and not empty water hydrants. It's climate change. Give me a break.
This is my longest ever interview of a president.
Yeah, well, the longest ever before this was one question, and they would rush you out of the room, right?
Trump's like, hey, everything's about to change. Guess what? I'm back.
Is it appropriate for people in your industry to try to create division and to try to create narratives anytime these things happen? Now, you're not as interested in doing that because Newsom is a D.
In more ways than one, Newsom is a D. This character yesterday, and DeSantis is right. DeSantis is like, I'm a governor. When we have a natural disaster, we all joke about it among Republican governors. If we have a natural disaster, the default media coverage is, what did you do to hurt this response? And yet nobody's out there hammering Gavin Newsom on his screw up here, because I'm telling you what, the buck stops in Sacramento. The buck stops at Gavin Newsom's desk, And I mean, obviously, the mayor of L.A., Karen Bass, and the head of the politically correct head of the L.A. Fire Department, they're all in this together. There's a video out there. I'm going to play it for you because I think everybody needs to hear this. There's a DEI department in the L.A. Fire Department, right? When the new LGBTQ fire chief took over, the woman who's the fire chief out there, the first thing she did, I played this clip for you yesterday in news coverage, is create a Department of Equity and Inclusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion, because we need it. And it's going to improve how we fight fires. What the hell does that have to do with anything? We have got to get to a point in this country where you hire people because they're the best person for the job, not because of their sexual orientation or the color of their skin. For God's sake, what's going on here? I don't care what your sexual orientation is. If you're doing brain surgery on me, I want the person that graduated at the top of their class. I don't want you to have been selected for med school because you fit a category. But you got to hear this, the assistant fire chief. So when the LGBTQ lady got hired as the fire chief, she hired an assistant fire chief to take over. Her name is Christine Larson. This is a video she put out defending the fact that they needed more diversity, equity, and inclusion in the LA Fire Department. Wait for it.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
I wonder how the people who have been trapped in their homes from these fires would feel about that. It's your fault that we had to rescue you and carry you out of the building.
Did you hear that? Because I'm not physically capable of carrying you out. I'm going to put the blame on you for getting caught in a house that's on fire to begin with.
Tell that to the elderly people or someone who's disabled who can't physically get up and walk out of the house themselves.
It's obnoxious.
Yeah.
Which means, and you heard Adam Carolla, is that it, Caruso? Whoever spoke yesterday about having applied for the LA Fire Department years ago. He was put on a wait list because he wasn't the right color, gender, race. 7 years later, they reached out to him and said, hey, we finally have an opening where we could use somebody like you. Why don't you come and show up? And he shows up that day, and the woman behind him is, a short black woman. And he said, when did you apply? She said Thursday. That's how they select who will be firefighters or not firefighters. And it's like the Secret Service. You had people trying to protect Donald Trump who were a foot shorter than him. They're there to take the bullet, but you can't protect somebody who's a foot taller than you. There used to be standards that they've had to reduce because of diversity, equity, and inclusion, which we all know stands for didn't earn it. That's all it is. We need to erase this from the American lexicon. Period. End of discussion. This has got to go away.
I'm surprised they haven't allowed that to seep into, like, say, the Rockettes and allowed, like, some 500-pound, 6'7" person to be there on the stage with all the other girls who are 5'7" and 100 pounds doing all those high kicks.
I've always wanted to play in the NBA.
Would people like to go there to Radio Music Hall or whatever it's called, Radio City Music Hall? Is that it?
Yeah.
And go watch that? No, there are standards for a reason.
Sports is the only area where that doesn't apply, right? Because I'd love to play in the NBA, wouldn't I? But you think they'd take me? This, sit one of their stars and put me in there? Come on,
take out the 7-footer. Marc Cox is going.
I don't think that's going to work. All right, we'll get to a quick break. We'll talk more about this here before the bottom of the hour, and then we're going to get to Illinois Representative David Freese on the new Second Amendment laws. They've passed to the General Assembly. I don't know if Pritzker signed it yet or not. We're going to find out. We'll be right back.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, you can imagine we've got snow coming down, and we've got lighter traffic because it's Friday. But snow on top of snow, especially on the side streets, has been kind of tricky this morning. accidents here and there throughout the area. Westbound 44 at the bottom of Antire Hill, there's a box trailer that they say is really close to the highway and possibly kind of in the right lane. Accident eastbound 6440 approaching McKnight in the left lane. Accident on 55. And this one was southbound north of 141. The left lane's blocked there. And then northbound, it looks like there's something in the left lane as well. So it's really one of those mornings. If you are headed out, just take it easy. We are snow slowed throughout the entire area. And if you are on, let's see, like 109, for instance, we've got an accident reported there really close to Rockwood Forest Valley Drive. You know, so if you're in that area, expect a jam. We've got volume 2, especially ramping on from northbound 55 to northbound 270. You know how it's a flyover ramp and people are nervous, and as they should be, taking it easy through there. Also some volume southbound on 170, ramping on another flyover ramp to eastbound 64. Now, just take it easy out there this morning. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
You know, last year, gosh, it seems weird to say last year, but in 2024, we decided it was time for us to move. After 24 and a half years, we wanted to uproot the family and, well, you know, just one kid still at home and move west. And in doing that, we had to find somebody who we could trust to sell our home. And I'm telling you, that person is Gloria Liu. If you are looking for a realtor, I want you to call Gloria and ask her questions. I'm not, even if you ultimately decide not to use her, and I don't know why you would, call her and say, hey, you know, I know you helped Mark sell his home. Here's the situation I'm in. What's my home worth? What's the market like right now for my price point? Gloria is going to be honest with you about this. She's like a counselor. She's great at what she does. She's been at it for over 20 years now, and she named her company Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You get that guarantee along with it. She'll put it in writing for you, that she'll buy your house at a price you agree to. If it doesn't sell, that means you can move on to your next dream home. Here's her number, 314-325-6888. That's 325-6888. Tell her you heard Mark Cox bragging about her. Go to her website at gloriahasthebuyers.com.
When the radio is away, 97.1 can still play. If you have the Odyssey app, of course. Listen to any of your favorite hosts on 97.1 through your phone. On St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
Boom goes the dynamite. This is the Mark Cox Morning Show.
All right, so it's a little bit of a winter wonderland out there this morning. The local news stations are out reporting on it. They're all over the place. Sue Thomas has been bringing you up to date. And my daughter, who is driving her rear end to work right now, sent me a text a few minutes ago that I can't repeat all of it on the radio because the FCC would not appreciate it very much. But when something like this, did MoDOT just say blanket today? Because I just can't I can't say that word on the radio. And I said, is it that bad? And she said, it's not good. And 40 is not in great shape, and she's, people are freaking out a little bit. There's snow coming in. It's not ice, but you're just going to have to leave a little earlier than normal, I think, basically. And it's I guess her map is trying to take her 364 to Page and then down to Kings Highway, because 40 is not great.
Well,
it's trying to avoid that route for her.
Getting onto 364 from 270 is terrible. One of the lanes
the roundabouts
is covered.
there,
The
circular
it's not great.
on-ramp.
And it's ironic that you and I, Mark, saw plows this morning.
Yeah.
They did not have their plows down. This is at like 4:15
but there was no snow
a.m.
yet.
There was no snow. It was flurrying at that point.
My
Are
assumption
they
was-
out there now? For those of you who are driving right now, do you see plows out there? Did anyone see them pre-treating the streets? I'd like to know these things. Please.
I think it's fair.
Tell us.
I think it's a fair question. Maybe they were putting salt down. I mean, maybe. This is part of what they said yesterday, as Channel 4 covered it, in regards to their. Now, these are St. Louis County officials, not MoDOT. Just bear that in mind when you hear them talk about this. Go to cut 12, Carl, please.
1 inch of sleet is like working 4 inches of snow.
They believe this next snow will be lighter and easier to scrape. They're already preparing to treat major roadways again.
We recognize that depending on what your trip is, any road can be important to you and friends and people that you know, while something else is important to someone else.
Right?
Yeah, when I first heard that bite, I had to replay it because I thought what she said was, depending on what your truth is. But what she said is depending on what your trip is. I had to listen to it twice because I was going to lose my mind if she was that woke. Now, she's been part of the St. Louis County Streets Department for like 20 years. I don't know her personally, but they're talking about how difficult this storm was to plow.
Well, my truth is that the roads suck.
Yeah, my truth is that I drove it Monday morning. I mean, I made it down here from the edge of St. Charles County out just across the river there. I made it all the way downtown. I have a 4-wheel drive truck. I had it in 4 auto, I should say. So I don't even know how often it kicked into 4-wheel drive, but I made it down here. There was maybe some of the roads weren't plowed at all. The highways, maybe one plow had been down at part of one lane. And when it wasn't considerably better 2 days later, I started complaining loudly about it. And I'm not sure I buy the argument that, well, 1 inch of sleet is like 4 inches of snow. No, you've got 6-ton trucks and you big blades on them, and this is nothing new. We've been doing this. I know we don't do it as frequently, it seems like, with the big snows, but it's not rocket science.
I can empathize, though, that sleet would be harder to get up.
Well, yeah.
But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to do it. Especially, I can understand maybe a whole day it takes. But when we are talking about Monday until today, before this latest round happened, these roads should have been back to near normal conditions, and many of them just aren't.
I heard that dude say yesterday, some of our trucks are smaller, and then we got these big trucks, and they're not as easy to drive on ice. My street in my driveway, on my street, was cleaned by looked like a half-ton pickup truck with a blade on the front of it. Clean, down to the concrete. And we got 11.5 inches not far from me there in Weldon Springs.
See, mine's not. My neighborhood's not. I don't know what the problem is, why they couldn't get mine down to the concrete.
Look at the parking
everywhere.
lots. Look at the parking lots in car dealers and businesses. The clean down to the. I went to Schnucks yesterday when I went out to eat last night at Amis. They got the parking lot clean down to the cement. There's no reason why we couldn't have done this on the roads, but be careful out there because I think my daughter, who's actually on the road right now, is sending me pictures of 364 slid a little bit on the ramp, and it is snow covered. So take it easy out there, folks. Sue Thomas coming up with another traffic check for you in just a few minutes. We'll be right back. We'll talk more about a new gun law passed over in the state of Illinois. Stay tuned.
The holiday season may be coming to a close, but there's still plenty of time to make it a magical one. Ring in the new year with something stunning and timeless from Diamonds Direct. Start the new year with a celebration of your love, or even a celebration of yourself. Whether you're shopping for the perfect wedding bands, a beautiful pair of diamond studs that were missing from under your tree, or the engagement ring of their dreams, Diamonds Direct has just what you're wishing for. This year, make your New Year's resolution to shop smarter by shopping direct. Making a decision on where to make your next jewelry purchase has never been easier. At Diamonds Direct, you're guaranteed to get an extraordinary value, ironclad warranties, and the white glove service that we've long been known for. Let the experts at Diamonds Direct show you the difference in a concierge luxury shopping experience. Kick off the new year the way you've always wanted. Customize your experience in-store or online at DiamondsDirect.com today. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Marc Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Thursday, January 30th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here are Thomas and Bob with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and would like to learn how linking to the market eliminates your fees and will generate you more income? Would you like to know how to lock in your gains every year without selling, even when the market's going down?
Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any future losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you can't afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg. Join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw, Thursday, January 30th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Another shot of winter to greet us for this Friday. We've got snow around all morning long. It's cloudy afternoon, 32. By the time it's done about midday, 1 to 2 inches, but this is enough to cause some road problems, especially with cold ground temperatures. Tonight, cloudy skies, some wandering snow flurries. It's a cold night, 20 degrees. Saturday, mostly sunny, 32. Sunday, partly sunny, 36. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
For 97.1 FM Talk, I'm Matthew Rocchio. It's 7:30 and 25 degrees. A proposed price increase by Ameren Missouri of 15% is needed to help improve infrastructure across the company's network. If the proposal goes through, customers could see their bills rise by $15 to $20. For the plan to pass, it would require approval by the Missouri Public Service Commission. Meetings are scheduled from January 21st through January 27th and are open to comments. A new sports venue is nearing approval in St. Charles County as the plans for a $100 million indoor complex went in front of the O'Fallon City Council last night. The O'Fallon Sports Center is presented as a purpose-built youth sports development anchor that would draw teams from throughout the Midwest. The 160,000-square-foot multi-sport building plans for soccer fields, basketball courts, and areas for volleyball and gymnastics. In sports, the Blues jumped the Ducks last night 6-2. Game 2 of their 4-game homestand is tomorrow against the Blue Jackets at 6. Notre Dame outlasted Penn State 27-24 to clinch their berth in the College Football National Championship. I'm Matthew Rocchio. It's 7:30 and 25 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
You know what? It's not great on the roads this morning. It's still, I was going to say it's still dark. Some of these cameras still look dark out there, but it's just the snow that's falling. And if you are traveling on eastbound 6440, there is an accident blocking the left lane before you get to McKnight. And we've got a parking lot jam that goes back through Lindbergh. And we also have slow goes on ramps, as we should today, but especially southbound 170, that flyover ramp that goes to eastbound 64. It's a slow go there. And same thing on northbound 55, ramping onto northbound 270. Accident reported eastbound 255, headed for the JB Bridge this morning. And we've got just snow-slowed traffic throughout the area. I'm seeing another serious jam here on eastbound 6440. This is east of Wing Haven before you get to Highway K, and it may be the left lane that's blocked there. We've got a jam behind that. Northbound 270, just kind of snow-slowed this morning. Same thing with 44. On the Illinois side, you're dealing with the same thing. We're just dealing with some snow this morning. If you're headed in on the bridges downtown, no serious amounts of delays, just people taking it easy. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, I love it when I get a text like this. Just a few minutes ago from my friend Richie, bragging about his service with Air Comfort Service, who I want to talk to you about right now. Just go ahead and put the number in your phone now for HVAC or heating or air conditioning, 314-513-0091. Here is the text. I'm going to read it to you. Feel free to use me as one hell of a satisfied customer on your next Air Comfort spot. Coldest day of the year, old furnace they'd been nursing along for us for years finally died. They had us an entirely new HVAC system installed that same day. They are rock stars, and our purchase will even sponsor an honor flight for a veteran. Does it get any better than that? So if your furnace you've been nursing along somebody's come in and told you, you need a new furnace. Maybe you want a second opinion. Call Air Comfort Service. And if they can't fix it, they can get a new one installed for you like they did for my friend Richie the same day. They've been doing this for 55 years. They are highly rated for the Better Business Bureau and thousands of 5-star reviews like that one from my friend Richie there. So get in your comfort zone with Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. And don't forget they offer 24-hour emergency service. 314-513-0091. Tell them Mark Cox sent you or visit aircomfortservice.com.
The countdown to Inauguration Day is on, and 97.1 is your transition team headquarters. Every day one executive action. It's all here. Trump's second term is coming soon on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, Jimmy Fallon here with a quick listening tip for you. If you miss Fox Across America or any of your other Fox News favorites, do not worry. I got you covered. You can stream previously aired shows with Rewind, available exclusively on the free Odyssey app. So if you're busy work days, it doesn't mean you have to miss out on the news. Listen to your Fox shows on your time with Odyssey. To get started, just download the free Odyssey app and search for Fox News Radio. That's Odyssey, Audacy. I'm spelling it out in case you're a little slow like me.
And now, back to business on the Marc Cox Morning Show.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47.
Yeah, Beto O'Rourke, they've already done that in Illinois. For goodness sake, I don't even know what to say about that. He warned you about it. You know that there are a bunch of them out there that want to grab your guns in any way that they can. And unfortunately, for my friends who live over here in southern Illinois, you've got a super majority of leftists who control your state, and they can do anything they want, including a House Bill 4144, which is unconstitutional in my opinion. The Illinois Freedom Caucus has condemned it. And we've got State Representative David Freese on the phone right now from the 115th District and to talk a little bit more about this. And, sir, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm well, Mark. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Obviously this caught my attention because I talk a lot about the Second Amendment. And, I truly believe at some point the Supreme Court is going to overturn some of the unconstitutional stuff that J.B. Pritzker and the Democrats in Illinois have forced down our throat in terms of, weapons bans. I think that's going to get overturned at some point. In the meantime, they keep going.
Yeah, it's one of those things that they have their sights set on. No pun intended, and they're going to do everything they can to disarm us here in the state of Illinois. And it's not just assault weapons, whatever the hell that means, because an assault weapon is something that just looks different than a regular gun. It's got a plastic stock as opposed to a wood stock. But yeah, so here we have 4144, and what they want to do on this one is if an individual goes in and files for an order of protection, what happens is in those proceedings, somebody goes in without the respondent in court, and a judge can issue an order of protection based on that. But when that happens now is the courts can issue a search warrant and then come in and law enforcement will seize your firearms without any kind of due process. And in our opinion, my opinion, this is unconstitutional. You have a right to the Second Amendment, and the seizure of your firearms without due process is without question unconstitutional.
Well, it's the biggest challenge with these red flag laws, which at their base you can kind of you can understand the intent of it, like the one they passed in Florida right after the Parkland shooting down there, but you can't just throw out your civil rights along with that, because the danger of these is that you've got a neighbor that you've never gotten along with who's just pissed off at you and knows you have guns in the house, and they go and file a complaint against you, and before you know it, you're stripped of your Second Amendment rights. Now, is this a modification of the red flag law in Illinois, or is this something new?
Well, it's a modification of the means by which you get an order of protection against somebody. Yeah, and I agree. So people that don't know, I have a day job. I'm an attorney, and I've been in court on petitions for order protections, and that's exactly what happens because if you've got a couple that's been married, they have a falling out, they get in a fight, somebody has an affair, whatever the case may be, is things blow up, and the next thing that happens is you're in court defending an order of protection by your former significant other. It happens all the time.
Well, I'm shocked that they've done it now. So what's the status on it? The General Assembly has approved this House bill. Is it on the governor's desk? Is it law yet?
It is not law. It just got passed. I wouldn't be surprised if it's heading to his desk right now. It's one of those very unfortunate things. We've got the state legislature and the governor all on the same page on this. They want, like I said, they want to disarm us completely, and they would if they could.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this gets back to the other law banning the assault weapons. I mean, I know that a lot of people, gunowners.org and others, and maybe the NRA are involved in this. I know the Illinois Firearms Association has been working on it as well. They're challenging that in court, but it seems to be taking forever. And I've been surprised. I mean, you're an attorney. You can talk to this better than I can, David. I was surprised when the Supreme Court didn't just immediately stay the law because on its face it violates your Second Amendment rights to keep and bear arms. You've turned legal residents of Illinois into criminals if they haven't gone out and registered a gun that after the fact somebody decided is more dangerous than some other gun.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%, and I don't understand it either. Why the Supreme Court didn't immediately stay these proceedings and let the process play out, take it all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court and get a ruling on it. That's in my mind. That's what should have happened. That's what happens frequently when there's other things that are pending. Okay, we're going to rule this way, but we're going to appeal it. Everybody knows this. Okay, so we're going to stay the ruling. Everything is as it is until we get to the appellate process. But for whatever reason, that this issue has drug on, and if the individuals that are fighting this, they might be able to answer this correctly.
Yes.
But why this has not gone all the way up to the Supreme Court and they haven't kicked this, I have no idea.
I think about that whole crazy deadline that they set for January of last year where people were supposed to register a lot of their guns. I forget which types, but what wasn't the percentage of how many people actually did that understandably pathetic?
It was
they actually expected people to be super eager to run out and say, "Oh my gosh, yes, I've been so excited to register my gun. Here you go. Here's all my information."
Yeah, no, it was really small, single digits. I don't know the final number, but we all laughed about it because I don't know anybody that was eager to do that, and I know people that they absolutely refused. They said, "I'm not doing this," because they know at the end of the day, when this finally gets to the Supreme Court, it will be found unconstitutional.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the Illinois Freedom Caucus, I mean, thank goodness that there's a group of people over there standing up to the insanity that's going on in Springfield. What difference do you think it might make that when you look at the results of the election, Donald Trump did so much better in the state of Illinois than anybody expected? I mean, we know already if you drew a line just south of Chicago, it'd be a red state. But even in the Chicago area, Donald Trump got a larger percentage of the vote than I think anybody expected.
Yeah, so we as a Freedom Caucus, we were disappointed that we didn't pick up some seats. We really believed that we should have.
Yeah.
That being said, everybody's looking into numbers, and we think there is an opportunity to make inroads into the Chicago suburbs, pick up some seats, and allow us a greater opportunity, better opportunity to push back on some of this craziness. And I just got back in town yesterday after lame duck. And before we left, a group of us Freedom Caucus members met, and we're in the process of trying to formulate a plan to do this. We've got to recruit good candidates in these swing districts, and even so. Second Amendment is a big deal. Obviously, some of the transgender craziness is a big deal. I don't know a single Democrat that thinks boys ought to be in our daughters' locker rooms or bathrooms. So we need to highlight those issues. We need to push those, and we need to go out and work for votes in the suburbs. And I think we can do it.
Well, best of luck to you, my friend. We're talking to Illinois Representative David Freese from the 115th District, a member of the Illinois Freedom Caucus. IllinoisFreedomCaucus.org is their website. You could find out about more of the issues they're working on over there. And if you live in Illinois, show them some love. Give them some support, because without the kind of ground level work you guys are doing, meeting and talking about these issues, you don't have a chance of eating into that supermajority, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Please, like us, find us, share our content, get out there, and obviously money's one thing, but if you can't donate, get your walking shoes on, and come this midterm, we got to get out and we got to knock some doors. We got to make this happen.
Yes, sir. David, thanks for your time today.
My pleasure, Mark. We appreciate you having me on.
You bet. Take care of yourself. Good to get you on here. Great conversation. And, that's what it gets down to. Like I said earlier, I got people texting me this morning asking me, well, what about this scenario? What about that scenario? The question is not whether or not the person that you filed for the order of protection against is a danger. I mean, if we're not talking about an abusive relationship and where there's no doubt that the person is a danger. We're talking about the abusive red flag laws, where without proper vetting by the court or anything where you might have a say in it, they come in and take your guns because your neighbor doesn't like you. That's what you have to make sure is avoided in these kinds of laws. And the liberals in Illinois don't care. They don't care. It's why Nick Schroer's filed a bill that would make sure that could never happen in the state of Missouri. So you got to pay attention to these things. Kim, what are we talking about in Kim on a Whim?
I was not in a sorority. I know you were in a fraternity in college, and
Yes.
I know hazing goes on, and I think it's gotten out of hand in some cases. And one of those situations has now led Joe Biden to sign a hazing law. And I want to talk about that and what that will now require universities across the country to do.
All right, coming up in just a minute.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Yeah, it's not great on the roads this morning. We've got snow falling. We've already had issues. There was a spin out just reported on 364 near Upper Bottom. I'll take a look here and see if I can find out what direction. There is an accident eastbound 6440 before you get to Highway K. And the right lane out there, now keep in mind there's only 2 lanes. But the right lane is snow-covered, and there's an accident in it. And we just have a parking lot jam behind this. And it goes right now, let's see, it's not quite back to Wing Haven, but it's getting closer. Well, there's also an accident eastbound 6440. And this one is before you get to McKnight. Now, that has been blocking a traffic lane as well. But in this one, it looks like, oh, no, they still have the left lane blocked. They are working to get that off to the shoulder, but it isn't yet, and that is creating a jam. I'm seeing snow-covered lanes, so if you are headed out and about, just take it easy. We should be okay, but there have been several issues. We just had a report northbound 61 north of Dietrich Road. A couple of vehicles spun out into the median. And northbound 270 north of Olive, we've got an accident reported. Oh, yeah, I do see a slow go there on the map. And an accident reported southbound 270 near Dorset and westbound 70 near 141. There is a slow go on westbound 270 at the Interbelt this morning. And eastbound 270 ramping onto southbound 170 is tricky. Take it easy there. Those flyover ramps, people are being careful, as they should. Eastbound 255 is slow, headed for, we had an incident reported as you head for the JB Bridge. Headed in from Illinois, it's the usual volume. Okay, maybe a little lighter and a little slower since it's Friday and snowing. Take care. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Let me talk to you for just a minute about Michael's Flooring Outlet. If you're a smart consumer, you shop around, whether it's for automobiles or flooring or whatever you're going to buy. And all Mike Reynolds wants you to do is include one of his stores as you do your shopping. You're going to see the quality. You're going to love the customer help that they give you and information and education. I've appreciated it because for 4 different flooring purchases over the last few years, I I have used Michael's Flooring Outlet, and that includes the first one before they were sponsors of this show. I went to Michael's because I heard it talked about on this very radio station. Great experience. Great follow-up after the sale, from the carpeting we bought to the waterproof flooring from Mohawk, which we put in a bathroom, which was fantastic. Comes with a 10-year waterproof warranty and a lifetime all-pet warranty. You can't beat it. It's called Revwood Select. Ask for it. You can go into the stores. They'll put the samples down on the ground, let you walk on them. You can see how beautiful they look, like real hardwood, but they're impervious to water. That's what I'm saying. Shop Michael's and report back to me. Tell me what good customer service you had at Michael's Flooring Outlet. 3 great locations: Old Town St. Peter's in West County there, west of 270 off of Olive, and the newest store in Darden Prairie. You can shop online right now at igotfloor.com.
The Annie Fry Show.
High fives all around, but the real work actually has to start now. And the truth of the matter is that, as much as I hate to say this, we need to grow a Republican majority in the House.
The Annie Fry Show. Weekdays from noon to 3.
Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste. Plus superior nutrition. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Do you want to kickstart planning for your retirement this year? Well, I know a quick and easy way to do it. It's a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. Kind of like getting the Cliff Notes on how you could make your money go a lot further in retirement. Hey guys, it's Dave Glover from KMOX. It's never too early. It's never too late to get control over your finances and your financial future. You can do it with a one-night class taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects with decades of financial planning experience. They're held at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. You're going to learn about tax saving strategies, IRA and 401k withdrawals, Roth conversions, Social Security, and more. There's no cost. All you have to do is bring 3 canned goods for the St. Louis Crisis Nursery. There are still openings for this month's classes and next. So call 314-350-8110. 314-350-8110. That's my personal Dave Glover KMOX number, 314-350-8110 for Financial and Tax Architects.
Miss a morning and you'll miss a lot. The Marc Cox Morning Show. Kim on a whim.
So tell me this, Mark, because you were in a fraternity when you were in college.
Yes.
And hazing is just something that happens, right? If you're pledging fraternity, that will happen. It just, what I guess can change is what that hazing looks like.
Thank you, sir. May I have another? That's a line from Animal House, in case you were wondering.
I know of
where
the
they were
movie
all lined
Animal
up
House.
getting paddled. Yeah. I got paddled. Not to blister or anything, but it was just part of the ritual when you got, welcomed into the fraternity. I was in the Sigma Pi fraternity. I believe in Sigma Pi, fellowship, kindred minds. I can still repeat all that stuff because I had to memorize it at the time. But my hazing was not like what you're talking about. We were never forced to drink. We were there because we wanted to drink.
Right.
And we had to do silly things like, carry around a list with the full roster of the fraternity. And if you ran into one of your members when you were out on campus somewhere, like they could demand that you go pick up food for them, or you had to recite a certain line out of the book with your pledge book. And it was hazing, but it wasn't physical, and it wasn't forcing you to do anything that was dangerous.
I think that's funny. I would almost have fun doing that if I was a pledge, just because it's ridiculous and you look silly, like you mentioned earlier, carrying a brick around.
A group of guys
That's
got
funny.
caught, as I remember. A group of guys got caught because the one of the things you wanted to do is if you could get into the house at night, because you didn't live in the house when you were pledging, and raid the refrigerator, like that was really something if you could get away with it. A bunch of them got caught. And they stripped them down and only gave them sheets and took them across town and dropped them off with no money or anything. And they had to figure out how to get back. Now, I guess you could argue that maybe that was dangerous. Mostly it was funny. The stories they told about having to try to hitchhike back to their dorms.
Wearing a sheet.
Yeah, wearing a sheet. But it wasn't physical torture. That's what we've got at Mizzou. That's what happened at Mizzou.
Right. This was Fiji. This was 2021, the fall. And there was this guy, Danny Santoli, and he was pledging to Fiji, like I said. And I guess what happened was they told him he had to finish a whole bottle of liquor. The other pledges were told the same thing. Supposedly he was, doing beer bongs, like all kinds of things. He was drinking beer and all sorts of liquor. And he ends up on the couch, and they come to find him not breathing, take him to the emergency room. He's in cardiac arrest. Now he's suffered severe brain damage and lost his ability to walk, talk, see. Like, you look at these pictures before, he's unrecognizable now. So what has happened was Christmas Eve this past year, Joe Biden signed the Stop Campus Hazing Act into law. And what it does is it requires universities to basically include hazing incidents in their annual safety report, which would then mean that parents, anybody would have access to that. So if your son's considering pledging one of the fraternities, you would be able to get that information to see if they've had a history of incidents like this.
So how does it define hazing?
That maybe weren't big enough to shut them down, but were big enough to have to report. My understanding of it, from what I've heard in these stories I've been Googling, is that if the authorities are involved, you have to report this. So anytime there would be a situation like, let's say somebody has to go get their stomach pumped, I would think that would be part of this report that you have to
If
share.
it was part of the pledge process.
I guess if it's part of hazing. And that's an interesting point is, what if this happens outside of that? Do you still have to report it?
Right. Well, so
And I'm
when
not
my
sure
kid
about
was
that.
down there, he pledged SAE as a freshman originally. And by then they had already changed the rules because of hazing, that the minute you signed a pledgeship, you were basically already sworn in as an active. But you still had to complete one semester of pledgeship to make it official, kind of thing, right? And it was all minor stuff. Like, none of it was physical. So I don't know. I just think you have places where they've abused it, but they've changed the rules so much that I think a good, hard liability talk to all of these kids at the beginning of each semester is, you can ruin. Look at this case. This poor kid that is like a vegetable now, right? Look at this case. Don't be part of this. It will ruin the rest of your life. It accomplishes nothing to torture or injure people to become part of this group. You've got to avoid doing this, bearing in mind that most teenage boys, their frontal lobes are not fully developed.
I agree with that, and I think that's necessary, but most people, you agree, would know that murder if you murder someone and you're caught, which you likely will be, your life is going to be ruined because you're going to spend the rest of your life in jail. But it doesn't stop many people, sadly. So I think, yes, that talk is absolutely necessary. But I think this is a step in the right direction because at least it gives you information. And if there are enough reports of this, it deters people from wanting to pledge that frat, and then they'll be forced to make changes.
Well,
hopefully.
The bill is overdue from that standpoint, for sure. Coming up, we're going to talk to Gerard Filitti. He's a political strategist with the Lawfare Project. More about the Supreme Court and the vote to not block sentencing for Donald Trump. We'll be right back.
What better way to support your nutrition than with the multivitamin that was created right here in St. Louis? Neovitin Original Multivitamin was created by St. Louis physician Dr. Ribicki to support his own nutrition when he needed it most. Now, Neovitin Original Multivitamin is formulated with sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and Dr. Ribicki's proprietary blend to give you nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Neovitin is now conveniently available through our no-obligation monthly subscription. Cancel or pause at any time, and shipping is free. Support your nutrition with a subscription to Neovitin at neovitin.com today.
Hey Max, you look absolutely dashing in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world?
You bet, Daisy. I'm ready as I'll ever be. And might I say, your purple tie really pops with your vest.
Thanks. I almost went with a cape, but didn't want to come across as pretentious.
Nonsense. Anyone in our line of work should rock a cape.
You might be onto something, Max.
Phew, so here we go. First day on the job. We've got this, right?
Right. Don't forget, we both graduated from Dogs Inc. with honors.
Which means I can guide my human around a busy city with ease.
And I can give my human a restful night.
I hope my human is kind and loving.
And I hope mine likes wet kisses and zoomies.
Ready to make a difference?
Born ready. Let's go.
Discover how extraordinary dogs like Daisy and Max change lives at no cost to the recipients. Visit dogsinc.org.
Did you get a call or message that mentioned Social Security that made you feel threatened or scared? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, press you for personal information, or demand instant payment. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Don't fall for it. Hang up, ignore them. Report this criminal activity to oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Are you worried about the state of the economy? Concerned about market crashes and rising inflation wiping out your savings? At Noble Gold Investments, we understand your fears and have a solution. Call us today at 1-888-403-1050. Imagine safeguarding you and your family with a tangible asset that has stood the test of time. Gold. With Noble Gold Investments, you can diversify your portfolio and protect your wealth from economic turmoil. Our team will guide you through the process, ensuring you make informed decisions that best suit your needs. Call Noble Gold Investments today at 1-888-403-1050. That's 1-888-403-1050. The future is uncertain. Take control now. Call 1-888-403-1050.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Before an historic return to the White House, a historic return to court. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Though President-elect Trump will only appear virtually the day after the Supreme Court refused to block this morning's sentencing.
They called for an appeal. So I read it, and I thought it was a fair decision, actually.
As for his convictions in New York,
frankly, it's a disgrace. It's a judge that shouldn't have been on the case. He's a highly conflicted judge.
He was convicted, of course, last May on 34 counts of filing false business instruments for paying off Stormy Daniels, so voters would not find about their alleged tryst during the 2016 presidential election or before that.
That's Fox's Eric Shawn outside the court. We just got an update to the economy, showing an unexpected increase in hiring to end last year.
256,000 jobs created in the month of December. The estimate was for 160,000 jobs, much higher than expected. The rate for unemployment went down a tick.
Fox Business Network Cheryl Casoni, that was also unexpected. The rate dipping a tenth to 4.1%. And stock futures are down big as a result on renewed inflation worry the day after a day off of trading for former President Jimmy Carter's funeral. Bad news out of Southern California.
We are now up to 10 people who have died as a result of these catastrophic wildfires. 2 of those deaths were right here in the Palisades fire, where well over 5,000 structures have been completely destroyed.
Fox's Bill Malugin in the charred ruins that was Pacific Palisades. Other fires have burned 5,000 more homes and buildings.
These fires having a huge impact on schools out here in Los Angeles. The entire LA Unified School District, we're talking more than 500,000 students, is shut down today. 2 schools out here in the Pacific Palisades have been completely destroyed. A third has been heavily damaged. 5 schools in the Altadena area have been damaged as well.
A winter storm from Texas to Georgia, up to Tennessee, Kentucky, over to the Carolinas, is grounding a lot of planes. More than 2,000 flights canceled today. America's listening to Fox News.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
For 97.1 FM Talk, I'm Matthew Rocchio. It's 8:03 and 26 degrees. A St. Louis alderwoman plans to propose a measure today that would strip the mayor of some of her power and hire a city manager. Alderwoman Daniela Velasquez says her proposal isn't meant to be a criticism of Tashara Jones, but instead a long-term plan to look at ways to make St. Louis more successful. The measure could appear on the August 2026 ballot and would require approval from 60% of votes in a citywide election. Whatever happens today for the snowfall, St. Louis County officials told residents their plows are fully equipped to answer the call and clarified MoDOT's road plowing priorities. All interstates and higher volume highways are continuously plowed. Lower volume state numbered or lettered routes are plowed to open two-way traffic, and then following the storm accumulation will be cleared on shoulders. MoDOT assured residents in a statement that crews have been working around the clock on 12-hour shifts since Saturday. The bill is coming due for the legal battle between the state and St. Louis County over who held power to replace Wesley Bell as St. Louis County prosecutor. Following the decision of the courts in favor of the governor's office on January 3rd, the private attorney's fees for the county's failed fight adds up to just over $19,000 for services through November 30th. County Councilman Dennis Hancock told Fox 2 News that he expects the final bill to be even higher after most of the work on the case was done in December. It's 8:04 and 26 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk. In sports, the Blues raced the Ducks last night 6-2. Game 2 of their 4-game homestand is tomorrow against the Blue Jackets at 6. Notre Dame will play in the College Football National Championship after outlasting Penn State 27-24 in the Orange Bowl. They'll play either Texas or Ohio State depending on who wins tonight's Cotton Bowl, which kicks off at 6:30. It's been over a month since St. Louis City SC hired their second full-time head coach in former Swedish national Olof Mellberg, and the new coach will be officially introduced today at a 10 a.m. press conference. It's 8:05 and 26 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, a snowy morning on the roads. You can imagine how this is going. Accident northbound 61 north of Dietrich Road. Couple of vehicles into the median. We've got an accident eastbound 6440 near K. That's been blocking the right lane. We've got a parking lot jam back through Winghaven. Accident reported on northbound 270 north of Olive. Looks like they've moved that one out of the way, but southbound is really jammed, headed for Page. We had a spin out reported 364 near Upper Bottom Road. Be careful through there. Accident reported southbound 270. That one came in as south of Gravois, something on the right shoulder. Stall reported northbound 270 at 70. That one on the right side. And an accident now southbound 55 south of Merrimack Bottom Road. The right lanes are blocked, and police saying those right lanes are snow covered, and be careful on the ramp there as well because it is starting to really look slick. We have an accident reported westbound 6440. Now, this one looks like it's past Hampton. It's near Clayton Skinker. So if you are traveling in that area, just be careful through there. I'm trying to find it here on the camera to see what lane it's in, but I can't seem to find it quite yet. So just know there's a slow go. And an accident reported on southbound 55 south of the Poplar Street Bridge. Be careful on those bridges, the overpasses, the flyover ramps this morning, because we do have some slick areas. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Another shot of winter to greet us for this Friday. We've got snow around all morning long. It's cloudy afternoon, 32. By the time it's done about midday, 1 to 2 inches, but this is enough to cause some road problems, especially with cold ground temperatures. Tonight, cloudy skies, some wandering snow flurries. It's a cold night, 20 degrees. Saturday, mostly sunny, 32. Sunday, partly sunny, 36. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's 8:07 and 26 degrees. You can listen to the Marc Cox Morning Show or any other show on 97.1 FM Talk anytime or anywhere by downloading the free Odyssey app.
The Marc Cox Morning Show is brought to you by Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
Listen to both sides. The bottom line is, I respect that. We don't agree.
You're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show.
Just to find a voice.
Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
I don't know how to put this.
Marc Cox.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Well, it adds excitement, doesn't it, folks?
All right, good morning to you. Welcome into the Marc Cox Morning Show. little bit of snow falling out there, causing a few problems. And my daughter's driving down I-70. She says there's certainly some slush and people going slow and cautious. So if you're driving downtown, just take it easy. Once again, a number of schools have called off for today because they just don't want to risk it. Let's face it, some of the side streets probably still weren't clear enough for 17-year-olds to be driving anyway. Plus, you got to drive buses out and about. So I know that Rockwood and a number of other school districts have already called off. There's the thing these days. You probably don't have to come to the radio station or the online website to figure out what's closed because you all get texts and phone calls to your personal cell phones in the morning. Boy, how far we've come since the covered wagon days, huh, Kim?
I know. Can you believe that you experienced that to where we're at now?
Carl and I were talking about what we had to do in high school, right?
Walked uphill both ways in the snow.
We did, and had to listen to our local radio station or TV station and wait for the crawl across the bottom of the screen alphabetically to finally get to our school district to figure out whether or not we were closed or not.
They invented TVs back then? Oh, boy. Now, don't act like you're that old because I, too, had to watch the bottom of the screen.
No, but that was...
And I'm in my 30s.
Yeah, but, I mean, generally speaking, I would get on, because I grew up in Cincinnati, I'd get on and I'd turn on 700 WLW out of Cincinnati, and then they would have to read... Think of the nightmare that used to be for morning radio. They would have to read the entire list of school closings. There was no other way to do it, right? Because you didn't have websites back then, and they didn't want you turning on the TV, so they'd just say, we're going to read you the school closings in 6 minutes, and then you'd lay there in bed praying that your district was on there, right? But my school district was the Lemon Monroe High School, and it took forever to get the L's because they were coming out of Cincinnati, and they were 25 miles away, so they had a lot of schools in their area, and it would take them forever to get through the alphabet to ours.
And I went to CBC in the 80s, and we never got off, ever.
They were tough.
Yes.
Those cadets.
Because we used to make fun of the Vianney kids because they got off all the time. Like, if it was like this,
yeah,
off.
Some of it depends, though, on not maybe a private school, but some of it depends on where the kids are located because some of these schools have a lot of kids in the suburban, but then you have rural kids, and the buses just can't get out there. But now it's funny, Mark. You know, you had your daughter's school call off, and it was like a
recording,
but it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I've heard principals or superintendents, I guess I should say, who have done jingles, and they've turn the lyrics from a popular pop song that the kids would know into lyrics talking about how that they have the day off. And so things are very different now when they're announcing that school's closed.
More snow to the south this time than to the north. So I'm sure a lot of the more rural districts, Farmington, that area, Bonne Terre, probably closing down. This front is moving all the way across the country through Nashville. They got snow in Atlanta this morning. They got all kinds of problems. All right. Coming up this hour, we're going to talk to Gerard Filitti at the bottom of the hour he's with the Lawfare Project. He's senior counsel over there. We're going to talk about this Supreme Court decision and what the hell Amy Coney Barrett was thinking, siding with the liberals in this case. I don't get it, but I'm now worried that we got another Chief Justice problem on our hands here with Amy Coney Barrett on the court. We will talk about that at 8:35. I'm sorry. And also, we're going to talk about a fundraiser that's coming up, believe it or not, for Backstoppers. January 18th, if you love soccer, we got a great deal for you to come up to bring the family out and support local law enforcement and Backstoppers. And that is going to happen on the 18th. So we'll talk to them at about 8:45 about all of that. We'll get an update from Sue Thomas as well. Carl, let's get to our top stories right now, please.
The Marc Cox Shortlist.
No, I haven't, but it will come soon, and it's going to be somebody that's going to help President Trump deliver on the mandate he earned from the American people.
Ron DeSantis says he's not made a final decision, but he's going to soon announce his pick for the Senate replacement for Marco Rubio out of the state of Florida.
There's water coming out there. You can use it.
I appreciate it. I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now.
I'd like to make sure you do. Can I have an opportunity to at least tell people you're doing what you're saying you're doing?
Yeah. That was a citizen in California confronting Gavin Newsom, who claimed to be on the phone begging for federal assistance. She said, I don't care about that. I want to know why there's no water coming out of that fire hydrant behind you.
the governor has not done a good job. With that being said, I got along well with him when he was governor. We worked together very well.
Yeah, Donald Trump's not cutting him any slack either. Obviously, talking about Gavin Newsom there. You can be critical of a response like that without necessarily politicizing it.
This is my longest ever interview of a president.
Yeah, well, the longest ever before this was one question, and they would rush you out of the room, right?
Yeah, this is true. President Trump, everything's going to change when he gets back in the office. There's some talk this morning about is it controversial that he might change the way the media press briefings are, the press briefing room? I don't know. I wouldn't think so.
What would be controversial about that?
I don't know. Have you been to it?
No.
Okay, I've been there a couple times. I've been fortunate enough to be in there. Small, right? There's not much they can do to expand it. It covers an area near the West Wing that apparently at some point was a swimming pool or something, and it's just a narrow room. Like you can't fit any more seats into it if you wanted to. There's positions for live cameras in the back, and then there are offices, small little offices further back for the media to file their reports on. I don't know what he could do to change it, to be honest with you. It'll be interesting to see how that whole thing goes down. But talking about that issue, the fires in California, pointing fingers of blame at what happened there, right? Somebody has to be held accountable. It's fire season. Why would the reservoirs not? Well, they got the fire official on there today who's in charge of water for the entire region. This woman makes $700,000 a year in the city of L.A. Makes $300,000 more than the president of the United States, and can't explain why the reservoirs ran out of water. It was just too much demand. In the middle of fire season, listen to this.
So many of us have these darker chapters in our life, and it's all what we do with it, and it's all how we persevere and choose not to quit in that process. Cleaning.
What happened in Palisades, we have 3 large water tanks, about 1 million gallons each. We ran out of water in the first tank at about 4:45 p.m. yesterday. We ran out of water on the second tank about 8:30 p.m. and the third tank about 3 a.m. this morning. Those tanks help with the pressure on the fire hydrants and the hills of Palisades. And because we were pushing so much water in our trunk line, and so much water was being used before it can get to the tanks, we were not able to fill the tanks fast enough. So
I've seen a number of celebrities posting on social media frustrated saying, do you have any idea in California how much money we pay in taxes? Obviously there's a big call, and understandably, for people to donate, right, to Salvation, whatever, these different Red Cross. But people were saying we pay so much money in taxes in California. They should have more than enough to do anything that they need. They shouldn't have to cut $17.6 million from the fire department. Because
they waste it. And I don't know if those cuts directly connected. I mean, that was very recent. I don't know that it had anything to do with what happened out there. But this Janice Quinones is her name, makes $750,000 a year to run their water system out there, and wasn't prepared for the demand if a major fire broke out, which happens every year in Southern California. There is no excuse for this. She should be fired. The fire chief should be fired. The DEI chief should be fired. They're all making $400,000 a year. They make as much as the president of the United States. It's insane what's happened in these big cities where there hasn't been an outside political voice in 30 years. It's sad is what it is. It's really sad. All right, coming up, something that isn't sad. Carl and Matthew, maybe if you grew up here, you remember wrestling at the Chase. That's going to be a focus of Sue's show this weekend. She's going to give us a few more details on that when we come back in just a couple of minutes.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, it is slick out there this morning. This new layer of snow really causing some issues on the roads. Here we go. Accident northbound 61 north of Dietrich Road. Eastbound 6440 approaching Highway K. That was in the right lane. It looks like they're letting another lane through. That might actually be helpful. Southbound 270 south of Gravois, there was an accident earlier. Then we have a stall northbound 270 at 70 on the right side. Westbound 70, west of 79, there is a tractor trailer that jackknifed. They've pushed that off as far as they can, kind of into the snowbank on the right. I mean, he's not in a snowbank. He's on top of it. But that's what's happening there. Accident southbound 55, south of Merrimack Bottom. That's blocking the right lanes, and they say it's really slick through there. Accident eastbound 70 approaching Jennings Station Road, and northbound 270 past Olive. An accident, too, westbound 270 at Hanley. We had one reported westbound 6440 past Hampton. You get the idea. So if you are headed out, be careful. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan of McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
You know, I love going to the range St. Louis West. In weather like this, you still want to go practice or shoot or whatever it is you want to do, maybe take one of the classes. The range is open for you. They have one of the greatest indoor range facilities in the sound of my voice, and I hope you'll go by there and see them at 14802 Manchester Road out in Baldwin, because they will absolutely take care of you. You need to go out and check them out. Here's the thing. One of the only NSSF five-star shooting ranges in the state, and it's the only one in St. Louis County. They have an IDPA skills and drills class coming up on the 16th. You name it, CCW, they've got it all at the range. Some of the best training around. Right now, when you go in, they're doing the Shoots and Scores promo again in January. You collect points when you shoot at this hockey target. The higher you score, the more raffle tickets you score, and you could win a range-themed hockey jersey and a pair of tickets to a Blues game so you can wear your jersey proudly to the game. Go check them out at the range out there in Baldwin. You can shop online right now at therangestl.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk is online, and you can stream it on your phone anytime. Just download the Odyssey app, and 97.1 is one button away. 97.1 FM Talk on the Odyssey app.
The 28th Winter Warm-Up is coming to Busch Stadium and Ballpark Village January 18th through the 20th. The event features 3 days full of non-stop Cardinals family-friendly fun, including tours of the Cardinals clubhouse, admission to the world-class Cardinals Hall of Fame and Museum, plus access to the Cardinals Care Store, autographs, auctions, and an exhibit hall full of sports memorabilia and more. Tickets are on sale now. Proceeds benefit Cardinals Care and its mission to care for kids in the community. Find more details at cardinals.com/WWU.
Thinking of buying a new home? Think T.R. Hughes. T.R. Hughes Homes has great prices on beautiful new homes at 4 desirable locations. Charlestown Landing in North St. Charles, convenient to Highway 370. The Grove at Riverdale and St. Paul with standard 4-car garages, just 10 minutes from the St. Peter's Deerbergs. Arbor Valley and Wentzville on Highway N with minimum half-acre wooded lots. And our newest community, Elkhorn Ridge in Truesdale, just west of Wright City, minutes from Highway 70. Come and see why T.R. Hughes is St. Charles and now Warren County's premier home builder. TRHughes.com.
If he was in the White House press room, he'd never be called on. The Marc Cox Morning Show.
You know, I specifically remember when I was in high school, a group of us, we had one buddy who was into wrestling, and the rest of us were pretty critical of him for it. We used to make fun of him a lot. So one day we agreed to go down to a wrestling match, and we almost ended up getting into a fist fight with some of these wrestling fans because while our buddy was really into it, we were making fun of how fake it all looked, and some of these people really got mad at us. But I grew up in Cincinnati, so a different place, different time. We got Sue on the phone with us right now, and coming up this weekend on History of the Lou with Sue, we're talking about wrestling at the Chase. How are you?
I'm fine, Mark. I'll tell you what, people love this. This is such a huge part of St. Louis history. And it ran, wrestling at the Chase, well, its first incarnation started in 1953. And think about it, okay, then television comes along in the 50s, and it ran, by the way, through 1983. Television comes along. There are 3 major stations in St. Louis. That's fine. But right around the late 50s, Mr. Koppler thought to himself, I'm going to get myself a local station that's not affiliated with ABC, NBC, CBS. But there's no real programming because it's the 50s.
Yeah.
So
what do you do?
Right. He's on a flight and runs into Sam Muchnick, who is the president of the St. Louis Wrestling Club, and he's kind of taken the entire National Wrestling Alliance and shrunk it down into one thing, so there's one national champion and that sort of thing. And they get to talking, and Sam says, well, wouldn't be bad to have wrestling on TV, and Mr. Koppler says, dang, that's a good idea. And Wrestling at the Chase was born.
No kidding. On Channel 11, right?
On Channel 11. Mm-hmm. And anybody from that era, Carl, do you remember it?
It was on Sunday mornings after church.
That's right.
We went to Mass and then came back and watched Wrestling at the Chase.
I didn't realize and didn't appreciate, because obviously I moved here in the 90s, so early 90s. I didn't appreciate that. Obviously, I knew it was going on. But there were some big names, people that went on like the McMahons, right, who went on to eventually buy them out here locally and go national with it.
Yeah, they did, but you're getting past it.
Oh, okay.
So we've got to get right into the 50s to the 80s when people would, and at one point, Mark, they did it at first in the fancy ballroom at the Chase Park Plaza.
That surprises me the most, that this was happening at the Chase.
The Coruscant Ballroom.
The Coruscant Ballroom, and there were women and men there in these super fancy outfits sitting ringside watching this stuff.
Sweaty wrestlers.
Exactly. And then television comes into color. And at that point, all the equipment back then was really temperamental and heavy. So the Channel 11 people said, you know what, we can't be dragging this equipment over here to this ballroom all the time. They created a studio, and since Channel 11 is kind of attached to the Chase, it wasn't that big of a deal. Uh-huh. They turned it into a studio, and then the fancy people weren't there as much. People would line up, about 1,000 people, for the recordings of these things, and they would take about 300, and they would do 3 wrestling matches and record them. And after a match, they'd have everybody get up and change seats so it would look different. So it really was a thing, and it went on until 1983. So all of the names here. And then I'm interviewing Fred Bottomer about this. People were so into it. When Fred was a kid, he actually would watch all of the shows, write down everything that happened, created a newsletter, and sold it. So he had like international people that he would handwrite these newsletters until he started typing. This is how it was. And Ed Wheatley is in. He's written a book about Wrestling at the Chase, and there's a documentary out. But we'll talk about all the old wrestlers and how it went. Andre the Giant came into town. He didn't wrestle at the Chase, but he was out at Kiel. And there's a story about people, the wrestlers would walk from the hotel to the Chase or to wherever they were going. And sometimes people would be obnoxious. Oh, I can take you, blah, blah, blah. And then at the bar at the hotel where they were staying, Andre the Giant came down one day. And he said, are people in here? Is somebody saying there's going to be a fight? As soon as Andre walked down, that was the end of it. They all ran out of the room. But The Rock's dad wrestled at the Chase, and so The Rock Johnson was here as a kid. Yeah, so all of this we're going to cover this weekend.
Well, you should remind people when they can listen to History of the Lou with Sue.
It's on 97.1, 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. on Sunday, or KMOX on Saturday at 1, or KMOX Sunday at 4.
Awesome. And Joe Garagiola, I'm about out of time, but wasn't he one of the early broadcasters for it?
He was the very first one, and he kind of legitimized the whole thing.
That's what a great story. Sue, thank you.
You're welcome.
You bet. Be sure and tune in. This is a great book, too. Great coffee table book by Ed Wheatley's got out here that I'm kind of holding up here. All right, coming up, we're going to talk more about the Supreme Court decision not to block sentencing for Donald Trump. Stay tuned.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Underdog Sports, and if you're a Missouri resident like me, I've got great news. Underdog is now available to play in our state. It's the best place to cash in on all of your takes during the playoffs, which players are going off, which ones are ice cold. They have over 5 million happy players and $2 billion won, and they have a champs game. And with that game, you can win up to 1,000 times your money by simply choosing higher or lower on stats. So yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and more. Will Jordan Love throw more than 2.5 interceptions? Will Justin Jefferson have more than 3 TDs? You can cook up some really interesting entries. You can mix and match with hockey or the NBA. The Champs platform is the only platform that puts the power to cash out in your hands. And Underdog is the best place to play Champs. Download the app, sign up with promo code MarkR, and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code MarkR. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Download the Underdog app today.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Another shot of winter to greet us for this Friday. We've got snow around all morning long. It's cloudy afternoon, 32. By the time it's done about midday, 1 to 2 inches, but this is enough to cause some road problems, especially with cold ground temperatures. Tonight, cloudy skies, some wandering snow flurries. It's a cold night, 20 degrees. Saturday, mostly sunny, 32. Sunday, partly sunny, 36. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I'm Nicole Murray with your money now. Wicked has earned $70 million in its first week being released on digital platforms. The average rate on a 30-year mortgage, the most popular home loan in the U.S., rose to 6.93% this week. That's according to Freddie Mac. It's the highest since early July. The fourth quarter estimated tax deadline for 2024 is January 15th, and you could trigger unexpected penalties and fees by skipping a payment. That's according to the IRS. You typically owe estimated taxes with income from self-employment, small businesses, investments, gig economy work, and more. Tax filers may avoid late payment penalties by sending 90% of 2024 taxes or 100% of 2024 levies if adjusted gross income is less than $150,000. Futures are moderately lower after strong jobs data. Wednesday, the Dow Industrials gained 106, the NASDAQ down 10. That's your money now.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Boy, we've got snow again this morning, and it's made for slick roadways. Accident southbound 270 at Dorset. Watch for that in the center lanes. They are working to get that off to the side. Accident reported westbound 270 at Hanley in the right lane. Accident northbound 270 at Gravois in the right lane. And another one past Olive on the shoulder. accident. Eastbound 70 approaching Jennings Station Road. Southbound 55 south of Merrimack Bottom on the right side. An accident westbound 70 west of 79. This one is a jackknife tractor trailer. That's off on the right lane and the right shoulder. Westbound 70 west of 79. That is causing a little bit of a delay. Eastbound 2. But we've also got an accident northbound 270 at 70, that one on the right side, and an accident southbound 141 to northbound 255. Just be careful out there this morning. We do have these issues kind of all over the place, and it's difficult to avoid. If you're headed in from Illinois, we are pretty quiet on the bridges downtown, but there's also just watch out because it's tricky on the bridges and the overpasses this morning. Really, all of those areas are slick at this hour, and you just need to slow down and take it easy. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, Lakeside Renovation and Design has been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. From windows and siding to kitchens, bathrooms, outdoor spaces, they deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. Now, you know, people, if you're one of the people who thinks about, man, I've really got to start planning my retirement, but I don't even know where to start, I get it. And I have the answer. It is a one-night course. It's a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. And it's taught by a fiduciary advisor from financial and tax architects. These people have been doing this for decades. They are actually good teachers, too. And they hold these things at colleges and libraries throughout the St. Louis area. You learn everything you need to know. Social Security, IRA and 401k withdrawals. Should you be doing a Roth IRA conversion? Tax saving strategies. It's free, but please bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery. Still openings for classes. Call 314-947-2012, 314-947-2012, and sign up. You will not regret it.
97.1 FM Talk presents Talk in Action, where we shine a spotlight on local charities making a difference in our community. Join us as we give back and connect neighbors in need. Visit 971talk.com/talkinaction to learn more.
1 in 4 Americans today are living with a disability. I'm one of them. People with disabilities are extremely talented, resilient problem solvers that have so much to offer. And we've got a trusted ally on our side, an organization we can rely on, Easter Seals. Easter Seals is leading the way to full equity, inclusion, and access to healthcare, employment, and education for people with disabilities, families, and communities. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours.
Learn more and get involved at easterseals.com.
Fighting and winning. The Marc Cox Morning Show.
It was stated pretty strongly a couple of weeks ago about Canada, and people laughed. And now they're all saying, well, it's very interesting. And I say from the standpoint of the United States, we're subsidizing Canada $200 and $250 billion a year. We have massive deficits. They've taken about 20% of our car business. I'd rather do it here. We could put tariffs on. We don't have tariffs on them yet, but they will. That will happen.
Yeah, that's part of President-elect Trump's news conference yesterday. He was talking about Canada. He was talking about this, and he was eventually asked about, I think maybe he put it out on Truth Social, reaction to the Supreme Court deciding not to get involved in stopping sentencing today in this case in New York. And, he's like, well, they wanted to go through the appeals process. Then they made some comments in there about that, and I'm okay with it. I was just shocked at who all was involved in the decision. Let's get to Gerard Filitti. Nice of him to join us this morning, political strategist with the Lawfare Project, and he's senior counsel there as well. Gerard, thanks for giving me some time today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Let's talk about what this Supreme Court decision was yesterday and what it wasn't.
Well, what the Supreme Court decision was basically saying, we're not going to get involved now. Let the appeal play out, and then who knows? We might get to it at some point. But it's a correct decision. Donald Trump still has the whole appeal process to play out in the state of New York, and then he can ask the Supreme Court to look into it again.
So obviously, a number of judges, 4 of them, disagreed with this decision. What was their argument as to why the court should have stepped in and either delayed or stopped this sentencing?
Well, first of all, the order itself is one paragraph with 3 sentences, and there's no dissent. So there's no explanation on why they would grant the application. But the usual suspects, Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh, were the ones who would have granted the application. I think they see this as an issue of, if you are asserting some privilege or immunity from a lawsuit, it should never get to sentencing. That needs to be resolved first. So I think they would have decided that the presidential immunity arguments needed to be heard before you got to sentencing.
Isn't it true that ultimately in our system, you're not considered convicted until sentencing? Is that correct? Even if the sentence today is a slap on the wrist, at that point, he's officially considered convicted, correct?
Correct. Up until 9:30, well, it is 9:30 now, up until whenever this hearing starts and the conviction is entered, Donald Trump has not yet become a convicted felon. So that is an important distinction. People were trying to say that he was a convicted felon, not yet. That's what happens today. And this is in part what makes it a little bit political. Judge Merchan came up with the sentencing date on his own. The DA, Alvin Bragg, was not pressing for it. No one was pushing for sentencing. Everyone seemed to be on board with just letting it linger until after Trump was exited office in 4 years. But the judge wanted to have the last word, and he wanted to make sure that the conviction was entered. That's why we have this going on today.
Yeah, we're watching the feed right now. Fox News is showing what looks like outside the courtroom, and obviously Trump is attending virtually today. But it will be interesting what is determined to be the sentencing here, because we're not expecting jail time. But even if it's some astronomical fine that they're telling Trump he has to pay, ultimately this could end up back at the Supreme Court, right? Because Donald Trump has already said he'll appeal, and he could take it up all the way, right?
Absolutely. We don't expect there to be any fine, actually, because when we're talking about an unconditional discharge, which is what Judge Merchan was signaling, that means no jail time, no fine, no probation, no conditions. It's basically, we found you guilty and we don't care enough to impose a sentence on you. Again, it's political. But this will absolutely be appealed. It'll work its way through New York, through 2 different court layers in New York if he does not prevail, and then to the U.S. Supreme Court. Ultimately, it may come back down to the immunity issue and whether this was appropriate to even bring in the first place.
So let's say he won an appeal after the sentencing, then he would no longer be considered a convicted felon at that point. Is that right?
Essentially, yes. If the conviction is overturned, then there would be an order that basically rescinds that status. So he would be exonerated, and he would not be a convicted felon.
So what are the other issues here? I mean, as a member of the Lawfare Project, the word lawfare has been thrown around a lot during this entire trial, during several of them, that the argument that his political opponents are using the legal system to try to defeat him. They clearly lost that argument. But at the end of the day, this is the one that finally got through that could end up, if Judge Merchan wanted to, with a jail sentence.
Correct, and that is in a way what the risk is, because while the judge signaled his intent not to sentence Trump to prison, ultimately today he can do whatever he wants to impose a sentence. He will hear from the DA, from Alvin Bragg, on what the people of the state of New York want in terms of a sentence. Then he'll hear from Trump's lawyers on their view on a sentencing, and we know where they stand on this. And then the judge enters the sentence, decides on a sentence. But we don't expect there to be any surprises. But at the end of the day, if Donald Trump had not been elected president, I think we could actually have been looking at incarceration, because that's the way this trial was going.
Wow. And among the allegations of bias and complaints here on the part of the judge, I mean, is that part of the appeal for Donald Trump that this guy's daughter, this judge's daughter, is a major fundraiser for a lot of Democrats around the country?
It is part of the appeal. It's not the strongest part of the appeal. It's not dissimilar to arguing that Fani Willis should have been disqualified, as she was, for her improprieties. But at the end of the day, the strongest argument for appeal is, first, that this should never have been brought as a case in the first place, but more to the point, the decisions the judge made during the trial were incorrect, that Trump was not allowed to present the witnesses and evidence that he wanted, and as a result of that, he was wrongfully convicted. That's the strongest part of the appeal. The judge's character, I think we all know what it is, but the strong part is the legal decisions he made.
Yeah. Let's talk for just a second about the Lawfare Project. I mean, a lot of what you do and focus on is protecting Jewish people, correct?
Jewish people, yes, because they're an underserved minority, and we are seeing the civil rights issues across the country right now, but it's an issue that affects all Americans when we have voices of terrorism that deny all of us our civil rights, that are burning the American flag and wanting to bring jihad and Islamic terrorism to America's shores and deny us of our constitutional freedoms. It's something ultimately that affects all of us.
Absolutely, and the fact that we've seen just on college campuses in America since the October 7th attack on Israel, almost 2 years ago, year and a half ago, is stunning, to say the least.
And you know what? We still have American citizens being held hostage in Gaza for now. They're longer than Americans were held by Iran after the 1979 sacking of our embassy. Joe Biden still has not had them released, and they're still not home. That's still an issue we need to look at. We need our citizens protected.
Yep, and January 20th is coming, so hopefully that situation gets resolved at some point. Gerard Filitti, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Lawfareproject.org is the website. But good to get a little insight on what's going to happen, and could be happening in a courtroom right now. I guess we don't even get to listen in on it, or maybe they will. It says the sentencing is underway, but
it's interesting he's attending virtually.
They've only been showing transcripts. They've not been.
But there was a feed originally. Remember those shots of him sitting in there and going in and out of that door that they're now showing on TV. But for some reason today we're not actually hearing any audio out of that courtroom. So I'm sure if we find out what happened before the end of the show here in 15 minutes, we'll be sure and tell you about it. Great event coming up. If you're a soccer fan and you love supporting first responders and the fine folks over at Backstoppers, we're going to tell you all about it in just a minute.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, it's been a little bit rough this morning. We've got snow falling throughout the area, and it's made for slick roadways. Here are the highlights. Accident southbound 170 at Airport Road in the right lane. Westbound 270 at Hanley. We had one earlier, also in the right lane. Northbound 270 past Olive on the shoulder. Eastbound 270, well, actually, it's eastbound 70 approaching Jennings Station Road. Watch for that on the side. There was a stall, and then it turned out to not be a stall. It was a jackknife tractor trailer, westbound 70, just west of 79. A stall, though, northbound 270 at 70 on the right side, and southbound 141 on the ramp to northbound 55. No matter where you are, take it easy. We do have slick roads. They're out working on them. But, you know, the snow continues to fall, and we've got, especially on those side streets, that underlying ice. It's just not a great combination. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
The Annie Fry Show.
Do you feel like the Democrat Party is doing what they need to do to make this a close fight in the midterms and then again in 2028?
What we're seeing right now is a Democratic Party that's in free fall.
The Annie Fry Show, weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.1 FM Talk.
Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
A morning cup of adrenaline. The Marc Cox Morning Show.
All right, welcome back. And I'm looking outside here, some snow falling, and the road's a little slushy in places. A lot of schools closed, and we will keep you updated on that if anything else pops up here before the end of the show for sure. Maybe we should ask, we have a Detective Sergeant Shane Monig in studio with us from the Maryland Heights Police Department, and we're getting John Dolan on the phone, who's chairman of Backstoppers from St. Charles County. But you just drove in on this, Detective. Welcome into the show. What are the roads like?
They're not good.
Not good? No.
They're slushy. I don't think the plows can do anything yet.
You had to put those defensive driving skills to work this morning?
I did. We have four-wheel drive, so that's good.
That's good. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate that. Thank you kindly for the gift that you brought me. This is one of my favorite bottles of bourbon here. You guys, this is part of your barrel pick this year?
It was. It was our second barrel pick, the Maryland Heights Police Officer Association. That's it's about a 12-year rye.
Planters Whiskey, Ozark American. It's outstanding from Nobleton's Distillery. I love that. You guys did that as a fundraiser, I know, but now you're helping out Backstoppers again and through with soccer, and I think that's really cool. So tell us a little bit about what's coming up on the 18th.
It'll be the second annual event. Last year it was for Backstoppers. This year we get to put the Guns and Hoses name on it. It's an awesome situation. We're going to hold it out at the St. Charles Family Arena. Shelley Clark with the ambush approached Backstoppers last year and asked if they'd be interested in doing something. It was an awesome event, and this year we've got two teams. We got one police team and we got a fire and EMS team, and got about 50 players, 25 on each team. They're going to be from agencies from St. Louis Metro, St. Louis County, Maryland Heights, St. Charles County, St. Charles City, Wentzville, and then we have paramedics and firefighters from all over, mostly St. Charles County.
Well, and the one thing you're guaranteed here is if any punches get thrown, yellow cards are coming out, right?
Well, we'll see.
You don't stop the fight
Could be a
unless
little rough
there's blood,
and tumble.
right?
Yeah, fight is good.
I didn't grow up playing soccer, but we used to play it in high school, and the coach, the coach, the gym teacher was also the football coach, and soccer was a whole lot different back then. You could get away with a little more than you can these days, for sure.
We've had some warm up practices, and there's some bumping and grinding going on. So.
Well, that's pretty awesome. We've got John Dolan on the phone now, as chairman of the Backstoppers for the St. Charles County chapter. John, welcome back. How are you?
Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much, Mark, for all your support in this in 97.1. You guys are great.
Well, we're glad to get the word out because I know there are so many people hungry for soccer. This is a great opportunity to showcase that, and also it's at the family arena, so you're inside and you're warm and you're dry and you don't have to worry about any of this weather.
That's correct. And Shane said Shelley Clark reached out to us last year. Brian Wagner, he's been instrumental in putting this together. Lieutenant Jeff Swadek over at Maryland Heights and Shane, they've done a great job doing this. Andy Fowler with St. Charles County Ambulance. You know Steve Holly, and you're a big supporter yourself of Guns and Hoses. And Steve got behind this. We're going to make it an annual event. It's going to be wonderful.
Well, I love it. And the fact that you can go out there and watch the ambush play, right, and then stick around for all the fun. One ticket price covers it all. Am I right about that, Shane?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The game's going to be on January 18th. It's Saturday night. Our game starts at about 8. The ambush game's at 5:05. You come out, get 2 for 1. They're going to keep refreshments open through our game. There's going to be plenty giveaways and opportunities. I know they put a bulk order in for the jerseys that both the police and the fire and EMS team will be wearing.
Oh, yeah.
And the public will have an opportunity to purchase
those.
Oh,
you can buy those. That's
absolutely.
cool.
So did anybody who participated in the boxing match that I went to for the first time this year, are they participating in this soccer game?
So a few of us have boxed. I have boxed at a lower event, similar, and we have a few other officers and EMS that have. I'm not sure on our current rosters, but I mean we all participate in the Guns and Hoses event in November every year for sure.
Probably have some pretty good players too. Maybe some amateurs in the mix, but also maybe some people who played soccer in high school or college. I don't know, something like that.
I'd say it's pretty high level. We have people. I mean, we go from 21 or 20 years old with some EMS on Andy's team. Yeah, all the way up to mid-50s. But
wow,
I mean, it's high level. I mean, for what we do, I mean, we're not doing it for a living. It'll be fun.
Hey, John, I'm just thinking it's good news for those 50-year-olds that are going to try to play that they got a lot of EMS people out on the field.
That's right. They'll be standing by. This is going to be a great family event for families that have young kids. If you haven't been to the ambush game, I would say get out there. Great value for the money, plus you'll be supporting the Backstoppers. We're going to have a static display out in front with the police, fire, and ambulance vehicles. We're going to have canine dogs out there. They're going to put on a little show. We've got a special event. It's a surprise that'll happen at halftime. We're going to have silent auction. It's going to be wonderful. We're really looking forward to blowing this thing up.
You know, can't say enough about it. All you guys that get involved in this and put everything you've got into it, and obviously the big payoff is guns and hoses every year when the checks get presented. But the fundraising goes on all year round. So any way we can help out, that is just that's fantastic. Just remind people, if you don't mind, John, how many people maybe are being still supported by Backstoppers? Seems like when I had Greg Brown in here prior to Guns and Hoses this year, they were throwing around some numbers of all the people that still get supported after all these years by Backstoppers.
Yes, sir. Right now we're supporting 95 families, and there's 87 children we're supporting with that. Part of that is that we've got an education fund for all these children. We take care. Our annual debt load is about $2.5 million a year, and obviously it raises every year. We take care. We actually have one of our original beneficiaries is an older woman. She just turned 100 years old, and she's in the nursing home, and we're still with her. So we take care of these families for life once they come on board with us.
Yeah, well, that is fantastic. Thanks for all you do. That is John Dolan, chairman of the Backstoppers out in the St. Charles County chapter there. And Detective Sergeant Shane Modigan in studio with us this morning with the Maryland Heights Police Department. He had the guts to get out on the road and drive down here this morning, sir. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's a little bit of a mess out there. Anyway, all the details for this are up on our website at 971talk.com. If you go to 971talk.com and then hit the events tab, you'll be able to find out all of the details for this coming up Saturday, January 18th. 5 p.m. is, I assume, when the ambush game is going to start at 5, right?
Correct.
So you want to get there a little early so you can take part in all the festivities and then hang around in the silent auctions and then the game between our first responders. It ought to be a fantastic time. I'm going to try to get out there myself. Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
John, thanks for all you do.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right. We appreciate you, Mark, and your program. You do great work with us. We really thank you.
You're a good friend of the show, John. Thank you for saying that. And Sergeant, thanks for coming out.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. Thanks for making it. Thanks for the gift.
Absolutely.
That's going to warm me up today. I appreciate that. That's awesome. All right, that's going to do it for us. We're still waiting on this Trump sentencing. It is still underway up in New York, and I'm sure Brian Kilmeade will have the very latest for you live coming up right after the top of the hour here. Annie Fry, Mark Reardon will be in later today to discuss whatever the fallout is, and then Sue Thomas will be back in this afternoon for your drive home on your Friday afternoon. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here Monday morning starting at 5 a.m.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for